Go ahead. Make my day.
The first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
Here's Johnny.
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
This is Sparta!
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
You talking to me?
I see dead.
Houston, we have a problem.
Just a drink. A martini, shaken not stirred.
Why so serious?
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Welcome to Dinner and a Podcast. Here are your hosts, Steve, Joe, and Mike.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 64 of Dinner and a Podcast, the show where three best friends get together, share a meal and a conversation, discussing all things pop culture, movies, TV, and comics. Make sure to check out our Facebook page by searching Dinner and a Podcast, our website, dinnerandapodcast.weebly.com. There you can see comic reviews, full comic synopses, dinner and movie reviews, just a bit outside, which is our sports section, and our shop where you can buy our pins and our stickers. Our Twitter and our Instagram feed are at Dinner Podcast. And we want to shout out the Geeks Talk Back, the More Gooder Than Podcast, the Blue Shirt Talk Podcast, Not For Nothing Radio, Via VHS, Nerds with Words, Gooners in the USA, Not Another Nerdy Podcast, and Aussie in the Palm. Hey, Joe.
Yes.
Do you like cookies?
I love cookies.
I like cookies, too. How about you, Mike? You like cookies?
I love cookies.
I know a lady who makes amazing cookies.
You do?
I do. Her name is Marie DeZio. She is also a murderer.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I know her for a completely different reason.
Yeah.
America's Most Wanted.
She murders quite a bit of people. However, when she's not murdering people, she makes a damn good cookie. She can make...
You don't say.
I do say. She makes great chocolate chip
Renaissance
cookies.
woman.
She makes rainbow cookies. She makes pull-apart cakes. She makes all types of amazing desserts.
St. Anthony's cookies.
The St. Joseph pastries.
St. Joseph's, I'm sorry.
No, she doesn't make those.
No, she does. She told me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just not for Steve.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can find... She's a good friend of ours.
Ice sculptures.
She loves fondant. She just can't get enough of it. She's a good friend of mine. She's an amazing baker. If you need any type of baked goods for a party or get-together or anything like that, check out
Someone
her...
you don't want to get to a party.
You want arsenic cookies?
That.
Arsenic cookies. They burst into flames. And
Check out her Instagram page, which is at DeZio Bakes. That's DIZEO BAKES. And if you want to make an order through her, you can contact her at DeZioBakes@gmail.com. Today's episode is a very, very special episode because we were lucky enough to land a very big interview with an executive producer of many, many shows on Netflix. A while back, Joe had contacted the Netflix show, The Toys That Made Us.
Right.
And they were nice enough to send us some stickers. Which we proudly put on the back of our laptops and computers and whatever else we find and need to put stickers on. But we were lucky enough to land an interview with Brian Volk-Weiss, who is the creator of the show, The Toys That Made Us. And you're going to hear that later on in the show. So we decided that this show is going to be all about toys. The toys that made us, so to speak. But before that, you got any news?
We can't talk about those toys, Steve.
Yeah, we can talk about those. That's a different episode, but we can talk about those toys. But you got any news?
You know it.
It's the worst.
It's not the worst. I
It's
love
the
it.
best. I'm just mad. So, a couple weeks ago, we had an episode about Star Wars. I read an article about Kevin Smith talking about the characters that have died recently and what characters will moving down the pike in the Star Wars universe.
Mm-hmm.
So we've lost Han Solo. We've lost Luke Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to lose Princess Leia at some point. So he was thinking that the next character, or not character, but staple of the Star Wars universe is going to be the Millennium Falcon.
Instead of Chewbacca?
Yes. Because Chewbacca is a character that could just continue on. There's no person that has to portray Chewbacca, you know? So they might keep him around. But maybe we'll see the Millennium Falcon get blown up at some point.
Well, you're not going to see it get blown up in the Han Solo movie, obviously.
Well, yeah. But in this universe.
I think, like, the amount of rage that'll create on the internet.
You really be that upset?
I think people will be more upset than, like...
Yeah.
More upset than killing Chewbacca.
In my opinion, I think the ship should have...
Is there a more iconic
The ship
spaceship.
The ship should have ended with Han,
Right.
in my opinion. I don't think the ship should be piloted by anybody else but Han.
Well, it's being piloted by
But
Chewie.
All right, fine, and Chewie, but isn't Rey flying it now too?
Maybe she's the co-pilot.
I don't like the
If
fact
I
that
die one day, my dog can drive my car.
Your dog, your dinosaur chicken.
Yeah. But
Old beakless.
Old beakless.
the love, like this, I don't think there's a more iconic spaceship. Maybe the Enterprise.
Right.
Maybe.
But that's changed over the years.
That's my point. Like, that's why I don't think it's as iconic. They're always blowing up the Enterprise.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did it twice already in
In the new ones.
the new one.
Yeah.
In my mind, that ship is
Untouchable.
Is Star Wars. You know?
Got it.
In my mind, I loved that.
Personally, I don't care. If Han's not flying it, I don't care if I see it or not. I really don't. Chewie's been on other transports in movies. Like, he wasn't, I mean, yes, he's Han's best friend, but Han's not there anymore.
Yeah, but
You know?
Han Solo didn't fly it in the third one.
In Jedi?
Yeah.
Who did?
Lando.
Lando.
All right.
Yeah.
Whatever. Han's dead. They should.
Yeah, wasn't it the other guy?
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't remember his name. That's why I just went Lando and then said Lando again because I couldn't remember his name.
They should really just like give a big FU to all the fans and just bring it to like a used car shop, like a used spaceship shop, and just hock it for like
Parts.
yeah, for literally nothing.
No, or just crash it, and that's how you kill Princess Leia. Chewie walks out holding his head. What happened?
She's through the little glass.
Right out the front. Was she wearing a seatbelt? You can't go to Lightspeed not wearing your seatbelt.
So I saw a cool video the other day. Would have been great for you guys when you had kids or babies. Ford has come out with, or they're creating a crib that mimics a car ride.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Is it like on like a track or like is it like one of those virtual games? You know those virtual games that you go into?
It just looks like it's a crib.
Yeah.
On like four legs that just kind of like pivot and move.
Huh.
And
Yeah, almost like a painting.
Like
You know,
a
like shake a
gyroscope?
paint can. Yeah,
Right,
it kind of
okay.
like lightly vibrates.
Yeah.
And it simulates the sound of the car motor.
Okay.
The lights.
Zip by.
That are
so
in-
it's solid walled crib.
My God.
And like light travels like headlights coming past the
Dude,
car.
my nephew, until he was about 3, had to be driven around every night to the mall to go to sleep. My mom and my sister would get in the car with my nephew and drive this kid around until he fell asleep, till he was like 3-4 years old.
But the cool part is like you can customize the features of the crib
Right.
with your an app that's attached to the apparatus, I guess.
Right.
Where you could change the lights, how bright they are, what colors they are, the sounds that come from the car. So if your baby sleeps while you guys fight over directions, you could just play that sound clip. Or if they like rock music,
Yeah.
put that music on and it plays in the crib.
Wow.
So I think that's pretty cool. I mean, it saves you a lot of gas and mileage on your car to put your kid to sleep.
Sure.
But I wonder how much it's going to cost.
The kid's going to know it's not the real car, though.
My kids never had that. I
Right.
mean, they still fall asleep in the car, but it's not that they didn't fall asleep
Outside the car.
outside of the car. Yeah,
Right.
When are they going to make one for adults? Because I would fall right asleep.
in cars.
I've had to drive my daughter around to put her to sleep for like a nap, not like at nighttime, but for
Really?
a nap, yeah. Where she just wouldn't go down. She just wanted to stay up.
Oh, my mother-in-law was like she yelled at us when the first brought my oldest home. Like we were being real quiet, and she's like, "You're out of your mind.
Right.
Be as loud and as normal as possible because
She has to get used to it.
you're used to it." So the first time she fell asleep, she's like, "Get the vacuum," and I'm like, "What? We just got it down." She's like, "Get the vacuum and get her used to the sounds of a house."
Yeah.
You know, put the TV on, have the radio on, because they become so like it's quiet. Put the baby down. And then
Right.
the second you make noise, they freak out. And
Right.
like my kids never had that.
We did that with Alana. We didn't do it. With Christian, we were like tippy toes.
Yeah, you don't know any better.
You know,
I'm
let's-
glad my mother-in-law said it to me. She's like, "What's wrong with you?"
Don't
She's like,
flush-
"You want to tip around like that forever?"
We wouldn't flush toilets after like 9 o'clock at night. We
The
wouldn't flush
smell would wake him up.
upstairs. In our bathroom, we
Right.
wouldn't flush the toilet. We would only flush toilets downstairs. We wouldn't run the dishwasher, things like that. We would only watch TV in the basement. We wouldn't watch TV in the living room. And now with Alana, we have the parties. We don't care.
No, you gotta get them used
She'll
to it.
sleep. She'll sleep, and if she wakes up, she'll go back to sleep.
Yeah.
But
Oh, they
you know,
will.
Those commercials are so 100% correct.
Right.
Where like the first kid, like you worry so much, and the second kid, you're like, where the hell are they? I don't even know where they are.
Yeah, no, it's very, very different.
Yeah, it's funny.
Speaking of TV shows, you guys are going to love this.
Okay.
Our favorite movie is getting a TV show.
Oh, I saw this and I'm not excited.
I'm
about
not
it.
happy
You're
about.
not?
I'm not happy
No.
about this in the least.
Why?
Want to tell everybody what it is first?
It's going to be John Wick,
John Wick.
and it's going to be a prequel to the movies.
Yeah, and it's not about him, though.
And it's not Keanu
No.
Reeves. It's
No,
not-
but he's producing the show.
And they say he's going to do guest starring appearances.
I don't like this, Mike.
They're calling it the Continental, right? Which is the hotel.
Yeah.
And it's going to be about that.
Christopher Walken.
Is he in
Getting
it?
women drunk. No, the Continental.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. No, wait.
They're gonna. It's going to be about
No,
that
go.
world.
Yeah.
And you can do world building
Yeah.
and like learn more about that world. But I don't want to see John Wick on a low budget of television, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I like that it's the crazy pandemonium action. Like, you're not going to John Wick because you're like, I really want to see what they're going to do with the story this time. Like,
Yeah.
that's not what it's about.
Right.
But you
You're
don't.
like, how many people is he going to shoot in the face?
Yeah.
But you don't think
Oh, all of them.
they could do it like on the same scale as like a Game of Thrones?
It's Stars. It's not HBO.
Oh,
Yeah. If it was HBO, I might think a little bit differently about
but Stars does Black Sails. That's pretty good.
Canceled.
Really?
Canceled. They're not going to finish that show. They canceled it this year. Yeah.
I got to catch up on.
I enjoy
it. And they
getting.
canceled the Evil Dead one. Ash vs. the Evil Dead.
Really?
Yeah.
I enjoy getting the list of shows that are canceled every year and bringing it to my wife and be like, "What shows did you love? Here you go." Because every show she likes, everyone gets canceled. But yeah, that's
Stop taking things that are awesome because they were different
and unique. Yep.
and making them not different and unique. Because that's what they're going to do. It's going to just become another series show. I don't want it, man. I don't want
No,
it.
they said they're in talks to get Ian McShane, who's the kind of the manager of the Continental.
Excommunicado.
Yeah.
That guy.
They say they're going to get him as a series regular.
Well,
kinda have to.
I mean, if he's running the Continental.
Well, they don't. If they can't get him, they'll just do previous to him.
Oh, okay. But he's the one. He made it. Wasn't he the one who established it in New York?
No idea. But yeah.
Good to see you, Mr. Week. I like that black dude. He's cool.
Oh, they'll get him.
The concierge.
He's normally a TV guy.
Yeah, the chairperson of it.
He was in a show I talk about a lot, Fringe.
Oh, really?
He was in that. He was
okay.
like the head of their weird paranormal investigation unit. Like he was the sergeant or the
that's
captain or whatever. Yeah, he's great. He's a good actor. Plays a badass in that, as opposed to this where he's just like
Yeah.
real straight laced.
Right.
Yeah.
And just because it's Dinner on a Podcast and it wouldn't be the same if we'd have some silly news,
Right.
I saw the most ridiculous thing on TV the other day. There's a new challenge going around with teens where they're eating Tide Pods.
Get out of here. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
I'm super cereal.
Eating Tide Pods.
Okay, but that was killing children.
Like the ones you put in the washing
Yes,
machine?
the little ones that are wrapped in plastic.
Oh,
Yeah,
my God, what is wrong
Those
with
those were
kids,
killing babies. Like
Yep.
there was a lot of controversy about whether or not they should even make those legal because they look like a candy
Right.
to a little kid.
So
They
that's
look
what
delicious.
So now adult
that
fully
was the big
grown-
thing was they put them in containers that are so childproof
Yeah.
to keep them from eating them that now teens are like, hey, I know how to open this. And there are videos
So
of
when you're smart enough to open it, you're still not
Yeah.
smart enough not to eat it.
there are videos of kids putting them in their mouth to get like likes on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube.
Or kidney failure.
Well, that's what the doctors are saying. Like, you eat this and you're poisoning your
Everything?
Yeah, you're poisoning your body. Like, you can really do some
It's
bodily harm.
really concentrated soap
Yeah.
and detergent. That's
Dude,
not
oh my
good.
god! Like, I could not believe what I saw on TV.
Have you ever washed a glass and knocked out all the soap out of it and then
All the
taken a
time.
drink?
Yeah,
Have you
it's
ever gotten
disgusting.
Yeah,
soap
it's disgusting. That little bit of like residue.
from the shampoo when you shower in your
that's-
face?
Yeah.
Or in your eyes.
Yeah.
I want to go blind.
Yeah,
You're like, no, I'm gonna put it all in.
Yeah.
it was so poisoning.
Because when you fill up one of those cups like with liquid detergent, think about how much detergent that is.
Oh, yeah.
And now they've concentrated it and
Right.
like it's edible.
I mean,
bite sized.
I mean, how much water gets put into your washing machine to dilute that tiny little pod?
Oh, yeah.
Gallons and gallons and gallons
Yeah.
and gallons of water to just make it bearable for your clothes to not like disintegrate.
Yeah.
Oh man, you know, like we do a lab in the school where we take you take cells from your cheek or you take cells from a strawberry or something like that, and you
Right.
can extract the DNA from it. And the first thing you do is you have to break the cells open in order to get to the DNA inside. You know what you use? You use Dawn dish soap. You take your cells out. You
Oh yeah, because it breaks
you
down.
scrape your cells, or you mash up a whole bunch of strawberries, and you mix it with soap, and you spin it really, really, really fast, and the soap breaks up your cell membranes. Like your cells just burst open because your cells are fats, and the soap is fats, and
Yeah.
likes dissolve likes, and blah 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 blah.
Right.
So why would you? Don't eat it. Stop eating soap, kids. Go back to snorting Sudafed or whatever the hell you did before that.
Snorting Sudafed.
Oh, you didn't know about that? That's why you have to have an ID when you buy like
I
cold
thought,
medicine.
no, I thought that's because they made it into meth.
Oh, whatever. You snort meth. I don't know how you make.
I think cold medicine is used to make meth. You need
like rocks.
Yeah.
Is that what rocks is, or is that crack? I don't
know.
Or crystals. Isn't meth crystals? Crystal meth. Yeah.
Yeah, crystal meth. I think you need
antihistamines or something.
One of the chemicals you need comes from
Sudafed
or cold relief medicine.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is why we have a podcast and not deal drugs, because we don't know how to make any of it.
No. It would be so bad. So arrested.
Wow. Yeah. Stop eating Tide Pods. That's stupid. All right. How about we get Tony a little lead in for wasting time?
Take it away, Tony. Pew pew.
Now it's time for everyone's favorite segment. How are you wasting time? Or how are you pissing off your wife?
So, Mike, rumor has it you wasted lots of time this week.
Yeah, I don't know how either. I just when I wrote it all down, I'm like, wow, I wasted a lot of time. Yeah, so I can go first. I saw a movie I really enjoyed that you two will both hate. So you can just stop listening. I'll talk to the listeners.
What's
The
this
three
movie?
billboards outside of Kansas.
No, I haven't seen that yet.
Heard that's really good.
The
though.
Shape of Water.
Shape of Water.
So that's Guillermo del Toro, the guy
Yeah.
who did Pan's Labyrinth.
Right. Which I didn't like because there's also there's words at the bottom. What's that about?
This one's got words too. What's the one you like with the Jaegers?
Oh, Pacific Rim?
He did that movie.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah.
So what shape is water?
So
any shape of the container it's in, to be honest.
I think
No, I heard this was a great movie. I mean, it's been getting.
Who's in it?
Michael Shannon is the bad guy. He's the only one you'd really know.
Oh, he's a bad guy?
Yeah.
I might like it. There's a bad guy.
It is a modern day fairy tale.
Okay.
It's modern day is the wrong word. It's a monster movie fairy tale.
I'm liking,
So
I'm liking this more and more.
without spoiling it,
Yeah.
if you watch any trailers, you'll see this. It's basically a creature that's an homage to the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Right.
You know, or Abe Sapien from Hellboy.
Okay.
The fish guy.
Yeah.
It looks very much like him, just less human, more monster.
Okay.
The American government captures this creature, puts it in a facility, and instead of it falling in love with like the doctor, it's the janitor. The female janitor falls in love with it.
Okay.
And it's a love story.
All right.
And I think the Shape of Water alludes to there is no shape to water, and there's no definition of love. It's the same kind of it's a simile, metaphor, analogy.
Yeah.
It's one of those,
Yeah.
whichever the right one is.
And I got made fun of last week for liking the Beach House show, the renovation show.
That's true.
Remember that? Yeah. He told me to shush and keep my whatever manhood I have left. Yet he's telling me about monsters falling in love with janitors and how it's a metaphor.
No, it's really good.
Yeah. It's okay.
And it is probably...
Did you go to the theater for this?
No.
Oh, it's on TV.
No, I coded it.
Okay.
Nice.
They have a nice crisp copy on there now.
Okay.
It is probably one of the nicest looking films I saw all year. I would have said it was the prettiest if I also saw Blade Runner.
Okay.
Blade Runner was amazing looking, man.
This doesn't have like that big sci-fi scope and scale.
Yeah.
This is set in the 1960s.
Right.
I think it's 1962.
Yeah.
So it has that look, but it's like to the power of 10 that look.
Right.
Like everything's bright, everything's vibrant. It's such a cool looking movie.
How'd you like Blade Runner?
I liked Blade Runner.
Yeah, so
I
did
thought
I.
it was really slow.
Very slow.
Yeah.
You could have cut.
slow.
Oh, you saw it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw it with him.
You could cut 30 minutes out of that movie.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Of just people staring like off into the distance.
Told you.
And it would have been better.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad. It was like the
Story
story
was
was
good.
great.
I found the score to be very intrusive in the movie. Like it, like
Just a
I
lot of that.
shouldn't notice it a lot. Like a
Yeah.
lot of times I'm like, why is that so loud?
Yeah.
Like, and it jarred me out of the film a lot.
That's the thing that woke me up every 10 minutes.
Like I was very entertained by the movie.
Yeah. It looked beautiful, man. And I love Gosling. I watch that kid do anything.
He's very good. Harrison Ford's good in the movie.
Right.
I enjoyed it. They're both. I didn't think I was going to like either one, Shape of Water and I enjoyed them both immensely.
Right.
I might have put both of those on my top favorite 10 movies of the year.
Really?
Yeah, both of them were really good.
I'll give it a week. You always change your mind. Your brother will tell you something was wrong
No,
with it.
he'll
You'll
never
dislike
watch
it.
Shape of Water. I like them for different reasons. I like them because of how aesthetically pleasing they were to watch, how interesting some of the shot choices were, And to make a fairy tale out of a monster movie is really something different.
Yeah.
Like, Guillermo del Toro loves monsters in a way that, like, would be hard for any of us to understand, because everything he does is about monsters.
Did he do the Wolfman movie?
No, I don't think so. He did Mimic, Pan's Labyrinth,
Pacific Rim.
Pacific Rim. He's only done 10 movies.
Okay.
This one's really good. It's different. It's not action-adventure at all.
He was supposed to do Justice League.
Dark.
Right.
Which, looking at this movie, they should have given him.
That's cool, like a Constantine.
Or they should have put him in charge of that universal dark universe.
Right.
Like, he so understands these characters.
Yeah.
And is such a fan of them.
Right.
Like, it's an homage to, like, the Creature from the Black Lagoon in a love story.
Right.
You'd be like, what? And
well, you said that I'm already intrigued, so I might actually watch it.
It's an R. You'll like it. There's a lot of boobies. Yeah. That's right. You'll get, and I think like the first 10 seconds of the movie.
It's just boobies?
Yeah.
Nice.
So you'll be in.
Nice.
But it's very pretty. I highly recommend watching it.
1960s boobies too.
Yeah.
My favorite.
Like, that's an interesting choice for an era to put the movie in.
Right.
Because it's a fairy tale.
Right.
And when would you say one is the most, like, fairy tale time for America? Is that same period.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, coming out of the Second World War, before we were really engulfed in the
Vietnam
and the Cold War, before Kennedy was assassinated, where men still wore suits and hats every day and women got dressed up to go out. Like, America was a fairy tale at that point. And he does a nice job of tying in, like, this looks good on the surface, but then he shows you just how dark and evil some stuff was and starting to become.
Yeah.
Because the Americans wanted this thing because they wanted to know if they could use it as a weapon to compete against the Russians.
Okay.
And that's why they want it. There's Russians in it, and, like, you can just see, like, yeah, it's a fairy tale, but like all fairy tales, there's this underlying darkness to it, and so he mirrors that in the time period. It's very good. It's a good movie.
sounds interesting.
Smart film.
Right.
I like that.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do. I like smart films. Smart films are good. Just as long as, monkeys. Ape together strong.
Yeah. He won Best Director for this movie at the Golden Globes.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah, just this Sunday. Yeah.
Nice.
So,
all right.
That's what spurred me on to watch it. I really like the way his stuff looks.
Yeah.
It always looks really good. And I wasn't disappointed with this one.
Cool.
Another thing I did, and this is completely different direction. I have a podcast I'd like to recommend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
One specific episode of a well, there's two. Radio Lab, which is
Heard
an
of that one.
NPR podcast. Very, very popular
Yeah, heard
one.
of that
Probably
one.
in the top 20 every time
Yeah.
it comes out. They did one this week, and it's always, they pick a unique topic and then spend a whole episode diving into it. This one was how to be a hero, or why or what motivates people to do really heroic actions. And it was this, like, psychological exploration of why people do things. So it tells a story about
A guy on the train who stood out to a psychopath.
no, but there is one about a guy in the New York subway. He was standing on the subway with his daughters, like a 2 and a 4-year-old, and the guy next to him has a seizure and falls in front of a moving train.
Right.
And this guy dives in on top of him to save him. With a train coming, leaves his kids on the platform.
Oh my
and they were
God.
like, what
Are you doing?
What motivates someone to do that?
Yeah.
There was another one about a guy who was, like, sleeping, and he heard a crash outside his farmhouse, and he runs out, and the teens had crashed into, like, his fence or his telephone pole.
Right.
And their car had burst into flames, and he ran out just in, like, his boxers and nothing else because he was sleeping, and, like, went into a flaming car 3 or 4 times to drag kids out that he didn't know who they were. Like, the car was so hot it was dripping.
Oh my
like, the
God.
metal and
Yeah,
plastic
yeah.
was dripping on him. And then there was another lady who was driving, and she saw a bull goring a lady in a field and jumped over the electric fence to fight a bull.
What?
Yeah, for someone she didn't know. And that's what they were like, what makes people do that?
But,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, the other story, like the train, the car.
The train one, like, I was driving to work listening to it. It almost brought me to tears.
Wow.
The bull, I don't know if I would, it's something I would be like, I wouldn't know what to do in that situation.
She did, then that's like, that was the kind of point they got to, that if you have enough sense to think about it, you're not going to do it.
Right.
All of them were like, before I
action.
knew it, like,
Yeah.
like, why'd you do it? Like, I have no idea. Mm-hmm. And the dad, like, when he talks about his, like, he said he laid on the guy because the guy was having a seizure to stop him from moving while the train passed over him.
Yeah.
So he laid on top of this guy and pressed himself into the ground. And he said he could hear his kids screaming for him while he was under the train.
That is insane.
Oh my God,
I mean,
dude.
just think if that goes horribly wrong, then you just saw your father get run over by a train.
Like when they tell a story, you don't know how they turned out.
Right.
Right.
Oh, it's
Wow.
yeah, it's really good. Radiolab is. I listen to a lot of podcasts like about stuff we like and fun stuff,
Right.
and they are all really good, really smart, interesting topics. Radiolab is definitely worth listening. This was this week's, and it was great.
I'll give that a listen.
It was really good.
Yeah.
They're short. They're only like 30 minutes. They're very, very, very highly produced podcasts.
Okay.
So lots of clips and weird cuts of like different interviews together. It is definitely not this. Like it is very, very professionally, slickly produced, which I don't love in a podcast.
Right.
Like I like the real informal nature of a podcast. These are scripted and read, and you could tell like if it wasn't pronounced right, they redid it.
Right.
Like, it's because it's a seamless show, but it's good. Another one was the Meat Eater podcast, which I've mentioned before.
Right.
And it's a hunting one, so it wasn't even about that. It was they had a gentleman named John Molan, and he's a wildlife writer, and he was picked to write in Time Magazine this year about. I guess they do 25 stories about people who died this year and how they were important. And he did one about Pedals the bear. Have you heard about this bear?
No.
He was a bear.
Did he ride a bike?
No, he was a bear in Jersey, though, that I guess...
I got it, Piddles.
that due to some birth defect or injury as a cub, didn't have one of his front paws. And the other one was like turned in, so unusable.
Yeah.
He adapted to it and would walk... erect on his hind legs. And when he walked, it looks like he was pedaling a bike because of the way a bear's legs work.
Yeah.
So he was known in Jersey as Pedals the Bear. And from 2003 to like 2008, there was no bear hunting in Jersey. It had been outlawed.
Okay.
The bear population got out of control in that 5 years, got so bad, wildlife conservation group in the state said, hey, we need to start hunting bears because they're starting to encroach on you're having lots of incidents of them being hit by cars, killed because they're in garbage. Like, we have to control them to save them.
Right.
They're going to start starving because there's not enough food, too much competition, all that kind of stuff. So they legalized the hunt for them.
Right.
And as that was going on, a group came out and said, hey, we want you guys to go out and round up this bear so that he survives. And the point of this guy's whole article was how two different groups looking for the well-being of an animal had two completely different opinions on what the right thing to do with nature is. So all the environmentalists were like, go get this bear and put him in a zoo or in a preserve.
Right.
And all the conservationists were like, this bear survived for decades with no front paws.
Yeah.
And you think the thing to do is rip it out of nature and put it in a zoo?
Yeah.
Like, obviously it's adapted. And they were like, why would we torture an animal and take it out of the wild? And they were like, no, why would you leave it in the wild and torture it? And it's the same, like, it's going to get hunted. Mm-hmm. And they're like, that's not right. And they're like, well, it's pulling it out of the natural environment right. And it was the two sides of this one story, which I thought was really, really fascinating. And he used it to point to, we all get the same facts now in society, but they're so, like, the viewpoints are so divergent on, like, what the same facts are.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we all get the same information about what's going on in the country. But if you watch two different newses, you get completely different versions of the same event.
Yep.
And he used this small thing to show how divided we are in our opinions. Like, what's the right thing to do with this bear? Neither one was right, neither one was wrong.
Right.
Two different opinions about something so simple.
Yeah.
And then, ultimately, the bear got...
Oh.
Yeah, a bow hunter got him. Yeah. And he talks about, like, what happened to that guy. But I actually went and pulled the article and read it out of the New York Times because I was so fascinated with that idea.
That's really cool.
Yeah, he tells a lot of really, really good stories, this guy. He tells a lot of really, really good stories. He's not really he's not a hunter at all. He actually has never hunted. He just likes wildlife.
Right.
Like, his book he was pushing was called Wild Ones, a sometimes dismaying, weirdly reassuring story about looking at people looking at animals. So it was all about the people who study animals and how it affects them. And, like, the guy was very well spoken. He told really interesting stories about conservation and how, like, he told a story about a butterfly that takes, like, hundreds of man hours to keep from going extinct.
Right.
And he's like, when is it not worth it anymore? Like, we're altering the environment so much just to keep one type of butterfly alive that maybe it's time to be like...
Yeah.
Yeah, because if no one was around to do that, that butterfly would just...
He points to the California condor, I guess, which is an animal that most people think like should have went extinct when mammoths did. It just happened to find a niche in California,
Right.
The California condor, because it was all over the country before, and eating large carcasses of animals that died. Once those large animals were gone,
Yeah, they had nothing to eat.
they don't eat. In
Right.
California, they used to eat marine mammals that washed ashore. That's how
Okay.
they stayed viable.
Gotcha.
Wow.
So once we started affecting that, they had no more. Mm-hmm. And then we did it with DEET and all the different issues, and they brought them back from almost extinction now. But it's so dependent on us to keep them viable. Like they have to rear them.
It's not the natural course of
Apparently,
nature.
they have to teach them not to land on power lines, because if they so they have to take them out of the wild, teach them that skill, and then put them back in. It's not like they pass that down.
There's no natural selection anymore.
No, and that was his point. He's
Well,
like,
there's less natural selection.
he's like, at what point are we doing too much to stop? Like maybe that animal's just not supposed to make it anymore.
This sounds
Right.
like the story that you said about the guy who got his head scraped off with the giant bird.
That was the falcon
Yeah.
in California
Yeah.
and in England.
Yeah.
Because it didn't know where it belonged.
Right.
But this guy tells really interesting stories about how we should be looking at and addressing nature, and I really enjoy it. Like I'm a sucker for the woods.
Right.
So I like that stuff. Now I liked Meat Eater because it's all about hunting and fishing, but this one isn't at all. It's just this guy telling unique versions of stories.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed it.
Cool. Joe, you got any wasting time?
Yeah. So I kind of fell down a boxing rabbit hole.
Okay.
I watched a couple of movies based on boxing stories.
Nice.
Okay.
So the first one I watched was called Bleed for This
Okay.
Never heard of that one.
with Miles Teller and Aaron Eckhart. You've seen the trailer for it. It's the kid who
Fantastic Four kid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He gets into an accident. He was a really good boxer, and he's kind of in the neck halo.
No, I haven't seen.
He
this.
gets paralyzed in
Yeah.
this,
He gets in a
a
really bad car
I
accident.
haven't seen the trailer, but it's
And he's never supposed to box again, and he starts to lift weights, and his trainer's Aaron Eckhart, and they start to work, and they work, and they work. Now, he was a really cocky boxer when he was healthy,
right.
and kind of gets humbled by this, and he works his way back, and to fight again. And I won't spoil anything for you guys, but it's a good
good?
watch.
There's a big fight at the end.
It's not a big fight. It's
Okay.
not what you expect. It's not like this.
Well, it's a big fight for him.
Right. But the story of going from being at the top to nothing to trying to just get a chance.
Back to what you love again. That's very cool.
It was great. It was
Is it really?
It was really
Okay.
good. It was on HBO. If you have time to watch it, I would recommend it.
Okay.
And then the second one I watched was
I'm a sucker for a good sports movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
me
good.
too. Especially boxing too.
It's good.
Like any of those comeback underdog stories, they're all that in sports.
Yeah.
But every time they get me, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not glassy eyed. You're crying. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's I would definitely watch that.
The second one I watched was called Chuck, and it was based off of Chuck Webner, the boxer.
Okay.
He was what was his nickname called? The Bayonne Bleeder.
Oh, the Bayonne Bleeder.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he was a boxer who fought Muhammad Ali, and his whole thing was, I'm gonna go into this fight with Muhammad Ali. I'm expected to go down in 3 rounds. He almost takes him to 15. He almost makes it through the whole fight, and he gets knocked out by Ali. He becomes so famous, and it's just his life going from this little lone boxer in New Jersey to fighting Ali.
Yeah.
To where his life turns after that. But it was Liev Schreiber, Ron Perlman, and Elizabeth Moss. They were the big 3 actors and actresses that were in the movie. It was a really
Is
good.
Shriver the boxer?
Yeah, he's the boxer.
Oh, that's cool.
It was a great biopic on this
Okay.
boxer. Well played by
That's
the
another
actors.
one I never heard
Yeah.
of before you mentioned it.
Yeah, I didn't notice any of these either. They were just one was on right after the other, and then naturally after that was Rocky, and I was like, Rocky sucked
Compared to those.
Well, that was the thing. Chuck Webner, his life story is what Rocky was based off of.
Huh.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, you'd especially like it, Steve.
Yeah.
Your dad would probably like it too if he hasn't watched it already.
Yeah. I gotta get him on.
But I think you guys would enjoy those.
Cool.
That's why I wasted my time.
Nice. I went from CVS to CVS to CVS to CVS,
Getting Sudafed?
trying to find something called a Navage. Did you ever hear of the Navage?
Is that the thing you pour water in your nose and that
Oh yeah.
is it?
So, if you listen to last week's episode,
There's another name for that, isn't it? Like a neti pot or
neti pots are basically just like little like milk holders. You ever see like when you go to someone's house and they put milk out for coffee in the little...
Yeah.
It's like a gravy boat.
Yeah, like a gravy boat.
Those I've seen.
That's pretty much what a neti pot is.
Okay.
And you have to lean over and you pour water in one nostril and it's supposed to come out the other one.
It's what I use to give you guys milk when you come over for coffee.
Oh, sweet.
A lot of times,
No, thank you.
that will cause more problems because one nostril might be clogged and that water has nowhere to go. So
Well,
it goes
into your brain.
It goes into your ears and you get ear infections and stuff. And if you can't use like tap water.
So wait, pouring water into your nose is a bad thing. You don't say.
Right. So this Navage thing.
You jump in a pool and get a little bit of water up your nose for the rest of the day. You're like trying to get it out. You're like, no, pour it directly in there.
This Navage thing, which almost no one has in stock.
You pour this in your ear and it comes out your nose.
It comes with these saline pods, these like little saltwater pods, and you fill it up with distilled water. It's not much. It's only a couple of ounces. And it has two...
So for the listeners that don't know, how do you do still water?
You buy it.
Distilled,
yes.
Yeah, you can buy it like...
You can buy it in jugs.
Yeah, people use it for like...
Or, I mean, if you
ironing.
If you have a glassware kit, I mean, you can distill your own water if you wanted to, but you can just buy distilled water.
But I thought all you had to do is boil water to distill it.
You got to catch the vapor.
Yeah.
You got to catch the water vapor.
Because it's just water, right? It's nothing else.
There's nothing else but water. It's pure
Just
H2O.
water, right? Yeah, but it's dangerous. Like you can't drink it because it massively dehydrates you.
Yeah, you shouldn't drink it.
Yeah, it pulls everything out of you. They use it for baby formula,
They
right?
have crib water, yeah.
Yeah,
Or,
and I think people use it
nursery water.
People like to use it in their iron because there's nothing in it.
Right.
So you don't get that build up on your iron, like the
Yeah.
calcification. You don't get that if you use distilled
Like
water.
I fill up my humidifier with tap water.
Okay.
And there's all types of sediment.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
By the
yeah.
end, you don't want to start pouring that stuff into your nasal membranes. So
you're saying I should stop?
Yeah, don't use the neti pot.
Oh, I've been using the water from my humidifier. And I just put
pours it in. He doesn't have pneumonia. He may be on something.
But this has two.
They call me Iron Man.
This has two things you put into your nostrils, and one side, it's motorized. One side pushes water in to one nostril, and the other nostril insert thing sucks the water out the other nostril. Okay?
Right.
So even if you are a little bit clogged in one nose, the suction of the machine will take that out.
There's only a slight chance for brain damage. Slight.
And it has a little reservoir at the bottom that catches all the stuff that comes out of you.
Yeah, your brains. You're liquefying your brains.
You see that red stuff in there, honey?
Don't worry about that.
But no, seriously, I need this stuff, man, because I'm constantly getting...
So now you got to buy the pod for this.
It comes with 20 pods, and then we bought an extra 20 pods.
Then you got to buy the water that goes in it?
You can make your own water if you wanted to, but...
And then
the water's like $1 a gallon.
Do you know how intricate it would be to distill your own water at home?
Yeah, but I'm not going to do that. Just
that's what I mean.
For
That's
a gallon,
crazy.
I'll buy it. It's just, it's not a big deal.
And then you hook up
It's
two
battery-
hoses to your nose.
It's not hoses. They're tiny little things on the front of the machine. I mean, technically they might be called hoses, but they're very short. There's not like hoses go up your nostrils. It's not like that.
There's no way I would use that.
It worked great though. The
Sure
first
it
time I
does.
did it,
You sound better.
Thanks. I feel better. I feel a lot better. But I use it twice a day when I wake up.
He damaged the part of his brain that feels pain.
When I wake up and before I go to sleep. And I tell you, man, it keeps my sinuses nice and wet, moist at night, so I don't wake up with bloody noses.
Did you wake up with bloody noses a lot?
Yeah. In the wintertime, just the wintertime.
Really?
Because the heat in my house, the heat's in the attic. Okay, the heater's in the attic. The bedroom is at the top floor, so my ceiling is the attic floor where the heater is. My thermostat's on the first floor. So when I have it set to 65 and the living room goes to 63, the heat turns on and it doesn't turn off until the living room is 65. Meanwhile, the upstairs bedroom, by the time the living room gets to 65, the bedroom upstairs is like 70. And there's zero humidity and it's just hot air. So it's either I turn the heat off at night, which I can't because Alana's 2 and she only has like this tiny little blanket and she doesn't know to stay underneath the blankets like Christian does. So I can't turn the heat off. So I've been sleeping in the basement with a humidifier. It's been glorious because like I wake up and I feel good, but I don't, I have to sleep alone every night, and it's my choice. It's not like I'm in trouble or anything.
Right.
So now he's power washing his brain before he goes to bed.
Right. Yeah, I have to. So this thing is really hard to find, and it's like $90.
Of course it is, because it's probably injured so many people.
It's a $90 contraption. And CVS just started selling it. So we went to all these CVS's in Staten Island. We were calling them up. Do you have it? Do you have it in stock? This and that. We finally find one in Queens, right near Elliott and 80th Street.
Right.
Something like that. And we went in. It was the last one on the shelf. We bought it up, and I'm loving it. So, Navage.
How many papers did you have to sign for them to give it to you?
No papers. No papers.
Wow.
And you know what I heard really works really well for that?
What?
Tide Pods.
It washes the snots right out of you.
Just clears everything right out.
Wow, that's crazy. I don't even I can't even do nasal sprays.
Yeah.
I hate that feeling.
Right.
There's no way I could hook a hose up with a reservoir.
No, you'd never be able to do this.
No, I'd hate it.
You feel the vacuum sucking through the middle of your face. And then some
his
of
eyes get shallower.
No, it does. It does.
His ears whistle as the air gets sucked in.
And sometimes it'll drip down the back of your throat, and you'll choke a little bit. You just gotta let it happen. Just gotta let it happen.
Just let it slide down.
Ignore that gag reflex. Just let it happen, and then it'll.
I think that gag reflex, as water goes down your throat, is called drowning. I'm not certain.
And the other thing that I did, just one more thing, is that last night I recorded an episode with Not Another Nerdy Podcast. So I was finally asked to be on the show. So check out Not Another Nerdy Podcast's most recent episode.
Weren't you on the show before?
I was never asked. I was never asked on their show.
What was the old topic?
They don't have topics, which is interesting. They just kind of shoot the shit.
Oh, I've wanted to do that forever.
Yeah. We do that every episode. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but the whole show.
Yeah.
So what was the general banter about?
They talked about the John Wick TV show, as we did. We talked about one of the co-hosts, D-Rock, getting engaged a little bit.
Congratulations.
Yeah, this is his. I'm not gonna say.
This is his second engagement. Third.
I know. Did I say that?
Fourth?
I didn't say that.
A second. Can't all be winners.
We talked about that. To be honest, I can't even really remember. I can't remember what it was about. But it was. Check it out. By the time you hear this episode, their episode. So we're dropping this on the 22nd Monday. They would have dropped this the Friday before. So go check out the latest episode of Not Another Nerdy Podcast, and you'll hear my co-hosting skills on their episode. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
How'd you do it? Via Skype?
Via Skype. Absolutely.
How'd that work out?
It worked out great. I set up. I have a board that I set up in my basement. The board went into a laptop like normally does. Put on Skype, and I talked into a microphone just like this.
And you send them your recording? Yeah?
No, they recorded me. My phone call went right through. Tom Van Zant was recording the Skype call. And his other co-host, Jay Money, was on Skype as well.
Huh.
So we were both on Skype. So we were all in 3 different places. That's how they record all their episodes. None of them, they're never in the same spot like we are.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a shame.
This adds.
Is it a shame that we have to get together? Or
Yes.
a shame that they're never together? I thought it was that we have to get together.
I think being in the same room adds a lot to the podcast. And you can feed off one another a little bit.
Yeah, imagine him telling the Navage story and he's not sitting in front of you.
Right. Like, I can tell when you're going to interrupt me, so I stop talking, and it doesn't sound like an interruption. It's
always.
Just, you know what I mean?
I'm always going to interrupt
Right.
you. As soon as you go, I tried something new, and here we go.
Right. All right, so that's how I wasted time. So now,
vacuum cleaning my brain.
Our main topic, brought to you by Bag of Dicks. When you need to send someone a bag of dicks, look no further than the original Bag of Dicks, the ultimate gag gift. Enter promo code DINNERPOD at checkout, or go to bagoddicks.com/dinnerpod to receive 10% off your order of Bag of Dicks, Singing Bag of Dicks, or coming soon, the Evil Bag of Dicks.
Ooh, someone wrote some copy and read it.
How do you like that?
Huh? Did you write that?
I did. Well, I took a lot off of their website, but then I wrote some of my own. And let us not forget BSPN Podcasting Network, which we are now a proud part of. So, Mike, you wrote up tonight's script, and I love when you write up the script because you come up with really, really good questions. The first one is your 5 favorite toy universes as a kid.
I didn't know if 5 would be possible, but yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know what my number 1 is, so let me see if I can work my way back. Anyone else want to start?
Yeah, my number 5 was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I will echo that sentiment.
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I loved that toy as a
I'm
kid.
going to go with Thundercats.
Did you have those toys? I never owned one.
I had all of them.
Did you?
I had all of them.
All the figures, or did you have any of the vehicles?
No, I only had the figures.
I had none of those.
I only had the figures as well.
We'll get to that later on.
I liked the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because it tied so closely to a toy
Yes.
and a cartoon for me together.
That was everything that we grew up on.
And I was probably a little older at that point when they came out.
You took a little better care of them, too.
Yeah, and it was also something I was like, I don't know how I became a fan of some of the other stuff. Like that I know. I actively participated in becoming a fan of.
Right.
I remember.
I still am.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember vividly going to the store and buying the van.
Yep. I never
it
had
was,
the van.
Like it was yesterday.
I had the van.
Like it was yesterday. I did something good. I did not do many things good when I was a little kid. I was a rambunctious little kid, just like my son. And my grades were so, B average kid. Didn't really try very hard. But I did something good. And my mom's like, "You want to go to Toys R Us and get yourself a toy?" And I was like, "Hell yeah. I'm not missing this opportunity." And I remember coming home with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles van, and I want to say 1 or 2 turtles to go along with it. And I missed that van. It shot out the manhole covers.
The pizzas at the front, yeah.
Was it pizzas or manhole covers? I thought they were manhole covers.
Pizzas. I can't remember. I had it.
Yeah.
Yellow and green, right, with the open top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great. There was a swinging door that one of them sat on.
Yeah, that door came right off in my house.
Yeah.
We broke that immediately.
Because it was held on by like a rubber band.
Those little pegs that like hold on to that stuff just don't hold up. Yeah. Teenage Mutant Turtles, I agree. One of my favorites. I'll definitely make that my number 5.
Okay.
I quickly jotted the list down now, so I'm ready to go.
Nice. What's your number 5?
I said Thundercats.
Yep.
All right,
I never liked Thundercats as much.
I love Thundercats.
I liked the cartoon.
I never had the toys.
I think I had all the heroes. I don't think I had a single villain.
I only had the main villain.
Mumra.
Yeah, and I had the heroes.
Yeah, I don't think I had the villains.
I had the Claw. And it wasn't mine. It was like my cousin's.
Oh, yeah. Lionel's.
You didn't have
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
You're right. I didn't. Cousin TJ had it. Jerk.
Hear that, TJ? You're still a jerk.
TJ's a huge loser now. Oh my god, it's amazing. I mean, TJ was always a loser, but he's a real loser now.
He had the claw. How could he have been a loser? He was a winner back then.
He was a winner back then.
He didn't know that was as good as it was going to get.
Oh man, you got to hear his mom talk about him at
peaked at 6.
Christmas and stuff. Oof, he's a real winner, this kid. Anyway, I haven't seen him in a long time. Hope you're alive, TJ. Your mom hates you.
You're not certain if a cousin of yours is alive?
He's alive. He's alive. He's alive. He's alive.
Number 4, Mike.
I'm going to say Ghostbusters.
I'll go with number 4 with Ghostbusters as well.
I loved those toys as a kid.
My brother did. We had them. I just wasn't as big a fan.
I remember I had the
Proton packs.
Yep.
I had my trap that I would throw out and try to catch my brother in.
Yep.
And I'm like,
did it work?
Well, one brother's awesome, and one brother's not so awesome. When we were growing up, they're both awesome now.
Right.
One brother growing up was very
good job walking that back.
One brother, when I was a kid, really loved playing with me.
Right.
We would always go out and play football in the corner or do whatever. And if I threw the trap next to him when I opened it up, he would make believe he was getting sucked into it. The other brother wanted nothing to do with me as a little kid. I remember one time I was watching a hockey game. It was the Rangers versus the Sabres, and my favorite hockey player was on the Sabres.
Right.
And he scored, and I cheered like a crazed lunatic that he scored. And my brother picked me up by the scruff of the back of my shirt and my belt, and like threw me two-handed into the wall because he bet on the Rangers. So, and I didn't know that. I'm just rooting for my favorite player. So he didn't participate in the Ghostbusters games that I played. But I love that toy. I had the jumpsuit, just like in Stranger Things. That was one of my Halloween costumes one year. I was like, I got this. All my toys. I have the costume. I'll just wear this. We don't have to go buy a costume at Party City. I'll just do this. It was great.
I particularly liked the figures for that. Like I had the Ecto-1, and I had the Firehouse.
I had the Firehouse.
I loved that Firehouse.
I don't know if I had the Ecto-1. TJ might have had the Ecto-1. I bet you TJ had it. Son of a bitch.
I had the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, like
the Firehouse.
I had like a plush doll of the Stay Puft.
Oh, I had like the hard white plastic one.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed those as a kid. Cool. Again, cartoon show to tie into it.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. Is that your number 4 too?
Nope.
Oh, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is going to be Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Nice. Very cool. Number 3. My number 3 is going to be. I don't know what to call it. Because it wasn't
a toy, Steve.
No, I know. It wasn't a universe, so to speak. I had a whole Matchbox set.
Oh, Matchbox cars.
Is that a universe?
Yeah.
Matchbox cars. I loved Matchbox cars. I had like those cases that have the little individual rectangles that hold all of them. I must have had like 5 or 6 full cases of those.
Really?
And I had them at my mom or at my house. I had them at grandma's house. Everywhere I went, I made sure I had like a case of matchboxes to play with.
Those were a staple of like your childhood.
And I didn't like Hot
have a
Wheels.
lot of them.
I didn't like Hot Wheels. I liked the ones that actually look like real cars. I didn't like the ones that were like crazy hot rods
Right.
and like, you know.
Like you like the ones that like the Porsche or the Corvette,
or
the
even
Mustang.
just the ones that look like, you know, a
truck.
a Chevy, you know, or like a Malibu. Who cares?
You see, when I was younger, I don't even know if I realized those were different things. Mm-hmm. I think like I used Matchbox and Hot Wheels
together
interchangeably as a term for like little metal cars.
Right, right. No, if they looked silly, or if they had like, you know, weird
they were
colors,
diecast too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And probably lead paint all over them.
Yeah.
It was great.
I met a guy at one night, came into the restaurant and like paged the manager over for some small issue, and he's like, "Oh, you're about the age that you grew up playing with Matchbox," and I'm like, "Sorta." And then he's like, "I have a business," and he had me for the next 30 minutes.
I think you told me this.
How he made keychains out of the old Matchboxes and Hot Wheels.
That's a great idea.
So like he figured out how to like punch a hole in them and then put a grommet in there so you could run a keychain through them, and like he'd go to car shows and he'd
sell them out, right?
Out, because he'd have all the real cars. So if you drove like an 86 whatever, he had them.
Right.
And like it was his, oh my God.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, but the guy went on for literally 30 minutes of my life. I'm like, I'm never getting any of this time back.
Yeah.
He gave me his business card and like, give me your phone. Let me show you my Facebook page. I'm like, please don't. Please don't. And but that's what he made. He had boards and boards of every make and model of car they put out. Yeah. And then he made like 6 keychains out of each one.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. That's cool.
How I go out on the weekends. I go to garage sales and I buy up kids' Matchbox car collections, and then I'm spending my Sundays punching holes in them. I'm like, I want to punch a hole in you. I can't take any more of this.
I went to this kid TJ's house. He had all these Matchbox cars. He stole them from his cousin. What's your number 3, Joe?
My number 3 is going to be the combination between the DC and Marvel superheroes that came out.
Okay.
Really? What was that?
When we were younger, like the ones that you squeeze the legs and the arms move.
I didn't have those.
Or the Marvel ones that had the shields that had like the.
I had those.
What would you call it?
Had them.
Like not reflectors, but they changed the picture on them.
Hologram?
Yeah, kind of like a hologram.
Yeah.
Like a lenticular one?
Yes, lenticular.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
I had cases for those too.
Right.
They were like the same as Matchbox car cases, but they fit the figures.
See, I never had that. I didn't even remember that.
One of my favorite toys is from that series.
I had a yellow Hall of Justice.
That's it.
That's them?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, I love them.
One of my students found those and bought them all for me.
I always debate stealing all of them when I come to your school.
You squeeze the legs and then it just like.
I don't remember. I don't remember them doing that.
Oh yeah.
But I remember they had like real cloth capes, right?
Yep. Real cloth capes.
Because I remember I had the Hall of Justice, and then I don't remember Marvel was in the same line.
Marvel came out with it
was similar.
Mattel made DC, Hasbro made Marvel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or vice versa.
They might have had a string on the
made
back.
DC, Mattel made Marvel.
I know I had the DC one, so I was a
Yeah.
Batman kid, so that's
I remember had the Hulk one had like this little green string on the back.
No, this is before that.
Before that?
Yeah.
Okay. The ones you're talking about, they had like the capes had like this little metal like horseshoe.
Yes.
Yes.
That like stretched over the neck.
Yes, all right, that I remember.
Yeah.
Those.
Yeah.
I love those so much.
I
They
didn't
came
even
out
think
with
of
like 6-inch statues of them.
Right.
And I've bought 4 of them already.
Nice.
Huh. I didn't even think of that. That's a good pull, Joe. I didn't even think of those.
I love those. I never got them as a set for Christmas. It was always like a figure here whenever you found one, a figure there. So anytime I came across a new character, I was like, oh, this is great. And then there were ones I didn't have that other people had, and I'm amazed.
Nice. Mike, what's your number 3?
He-Man.
All right. I never got into He-Man.
I had so much
I
He-Man.
loved He-Man.
I had Castle Grayskull and
Snake Mountain.
Snake Mountain.
This was one of the episodes of Toys That Made Us.
Yes.
Was all about He-Man.
I had everyone that they had on there. I'm like, I had almost all of them.
Well, that's my number 2.
He-Man?
He-Man's number 2.
Good choice. He-Man was great toy.
I remember
So like bulky as a toy in your hand.
I remember I wanted I wanted the cat, the tiger.
Battle Cat.
I wanted Battle Cat so bad because that was so metal.
I had him.
And so badass. And he was like flocked, right?
Yes.
He had like
Yes,
like,
No, that was Panther.
Oh,
That was
Panther.
that was Skeletor's,
Yes, Panther was
okay.
flocked. He's right. He was purple flocked.
Yeah.
No, he was just green.
Okay.
Yeah.
So many figures, so many
I had
accessories.
so many of those. And I love that you could just jam them all inside Grayskull and slam it closed and take it with you.
Right.
Well,
Like,
you
we're
can
going to
take their-
grandma's. All right. And we just take,
You could take all their accessories and interchange them.
Yeah.
Like all their armor could fit on because it was
everybody's.
all the same build, all
It's
the same mold.
body, just painted differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were, and they were the most insane characters.
Yes.
You know?
Fisto.
Yeah.
A giant fist.
Yeah.
Ram Man.
Yeah. I love
Bullet
those.
Man. Was there a Bullet Man?
No, there was no Bullet Man. Mecha Neck.
Yeah. My number 2 was Star Wars.
Really?
And I know...
I never had any of these either.
No, because it's probably 5 or 10 years before us.
Yeah.
Right.
We were 1 when Jedi came out.
But I don't know how I got... I know how I got... I had cousins that were older than me that exposed me to it.
Yeah.
And then I became all into Star Wars. And, like, I was forcing my parents to track down toys that were 10 years old.
Yeah.
But, oh, my God, I loved Star Wars.
I have a couple of them at home. We have like not R2-D2, the red droid from A New Hope. When he buys the 2 droids from the Jawas. I have that red one. We have a Boba Fett somewhere.
I had Fett.
But they were just like mixed up in like a box
I
of
had
toys.
Jabba's Palace.
Oh, wow.
You had all that.
I had the Rancor monster.
Oh, that's really cool.
He ate my Yoda. Because, I put him in there and like, he's eating him. Oh, no, he ate him. And then, like, I tried to convince my dad, like, you need to take him apart. And he was like, I'll get right on that. Still waiting.
You shake him around.
Oh, you could hear him. And like, I remember spending
You couldn't
hours.
you couldn't get in the toy?
No, the Rancor monster was like a hard plastic, maybe like 12-inch toy.
Yeah.
And like, it had a button on the back to make his mouth go rah, 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 rah. And like, it was the perfect size to fit Yoda in.
Yeah.
And like, you have him there and he's like, he's eating them. And then he slipped in and I'm like, oh no. And you couldn't get in him.
Oh,
He was solid.
Oh, that
But
sucks.
I remember shaking him around and like seeing him like fly past the mouth.
Yeah.
And like, and I'd be like, oh, I almost got it. And I'm spending hours just desperately trying to save Yoda. Yeah, that's how my Yoda, he didn't make it.
My number 2.
Luke couldn't get trained after that anymore when I played with him.
That's why I gave up so easy in this new movie.
Yeah.
My number 2 is the Batman 89 universe.
Okay. All the movie stuff.
The movie stuff. I had, to this day, I regret whatever happened to the Batmobile. Because that was my favorite toy for so many years after that movie came out. And I had the Batman figure that I have to go in it. His belt was like on it
was on a string.
It was on a string that retracted, and you could just tie him up, and he was zipped right up the.
Yeah, I
right
remember.
up the
I
thing.
had that. Jeez, I forgot about that.
And I had the 2 yellow missiles that came out the front.
Yeah.
And I also had the Batwing.
That was the coolest.
I had a Batwing too.
The Batwing was gigantic.
Yep.
And I loved playing with those toys, man. I don't remember.
Didn't it have the pincher on the front
Yes.
too?
It absolutely
the
did.
Batwing. It had because I had like a trigger handle.
It did, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I remember like putting the lamp on and
putting it up like you're
putting
doing
it
the
up like,
signal.
Yeah, like you're doing the bat signal with it. Oh, I loved it, man. I don't remember having bad guys for Batman. I don't remember having a Joker.
Oh, I had the Joker.
I might have had a Riddler, but I don't remember. I had a lot of Marvel villains, so I just had them fight the Marvel villains. But yeah, that's my number 2.
I assume you and I have the exact same number 1.
Yes.
Yeah, G.I. Joe.
Yep.
God, the amount of G.I. Joe
I didn't play with that either. Didn't play with it.
Oh, I know, because of your text this week.
I'd say from
Is Snake Eyes a good guy or a bad guy?
I was making sure.
It stopped me dead in my tracks at work. I'm like, is Snake Eyes a good guy or a bad guy? What kind of question is that?
I think I said we can't be friends anymore.
You're like, how are you friends with us and not know that? And I'm like, I was just making sure. The man in white's always the good guy. Why does it have to be about me? Tell everybody how much you like G.I. Joe.
So much so that when you sent that to me, I immediately went on. Well, his raised brother was Storm Shadow, and that's the bad guy.
I didn't need all that stuff. I just like you should have just like he's the good guy. That's
no,
all.
because I wasn't certain he was calling Snake Eyes the right character.
Yeah, no, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
I was half expecting to see a picture of Flint and be like, Snake Eyes, right?
Because I drew
Cobra.
I drew Snake Eyes.
Yeah, but that was months ago.
Yeah, but I was
You don't know how to paint black. We talked about this.
Nate Appleby from Aussie and the Palm is an artist, and he does digital artwork. So I asked him if he would color it, digitally color it for me. And then I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I have to scan this and give it to him. But I had put a Cobra symbol behind them, and I'm like, something doesn't seem right about this. I was like, I think Snake Eyes is the good guy.
He's a Joe.
He shouldn't have a Cobra symbol
The
behind him.
American flag behind him.
Right, something, yeah.
Or the White Star.
Yeah, whatever, yeah, something like that. So I just wanted to make sure, that's all. I was just calling
Yeah,
to make
not
sure.
the Cobra's logo.
No.
Anyway.
No, Storm Shadow. You can put the
Probably
Cobra logo.
had full runs from like
Oh my
1986
god,
to
yeah.
1989.
100%.
Every single figure.
100%. And ridiculous amount of cars, tanks, planes.
Yeah.
Like an insane amount.
The crazier the better.
We always played in the basement as a kid, and in our back, like we had a small back room behind like the boiler where my father had put up shelves, and floor to ceiling was all Joe tanks.
Right.
Oh, G.I. Joe is my childhood.
Yep.
G.I. Joe.
My number
I know
so
what yours
much.
number one is.
What's my number one?
It's Transformers.
Transformers,
Yeah.
100%. I still have a lot of my Transformers.
Yep.
My son is now playing with the original ones a little
good.
bit. A little bit. He's not that into it yet. He's still young. He's still young with it. He loves the Optimus Prime you gave him.
Okay.
It's real easy to transform.
Right.
You know, it's one click and everything switches.
The ones
form.
we had weren't like that.
No. It's the when I was a kid. I either left them as vehicles or I left them as robots. I really didn't go switching back and forth between them too much, because like there were so many cars, you didn't have to switch all of them back.
Right.
You know, like
I didn't have that many.
Me either.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a lot of the later ones. I had a lot of season 3, season 4 ones, but I did have a sprinkling of, you know, I have my original Soundwave from when I was a kid. I have my original Optimus Prime. No hands.
You can get those on eBay, Steve.
Oh yeah, I don't want somebody else's dirty hands. Yeah.
Not touching your robot.
Well, how
part.
else are you going to complete the toy if you want to complete it? Why did his hands fall off?
Because they came apart and they went in his chest. Like his chest folded down as the truck, and you put the hands in the windows, and then you fold it back up.
I didn't have Optimus Prime.
Yeah,
Me either.
The only one I can distinctly remember is I had it was a purple transformer that transformed into a gun you could carry around.
You had Shockwave?
Yes.
No one had Shockwave.
I know it wasn't Megatron.
Was it Galvatron?
No.
Galvatron was a cannon.
No, this was a purple gun. It had like a gray piece you put his legs into, I think, or his two arms that made like the barrel of the gun.
Dude, you're
That's
so
Shockwave.
lucky.
Yeah,
I've never seen a Shockwave in person. That's pretty awesome.
Well, I have it later on. You'll find out what happened to it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
What was your second question on your list there, Mike?
What is your individual favorite toy? So, like, specific toys that were your favorites.
This one was tough for me.
Oh man.
So, let's only do 3 then to make it, if you can do it. I'll start if you
Go
want.
ahead.
I gotta say Castle Grayskull.
Okay.
I was a big layout everything I have
Right.
on the floor, set up like a giant battle, and having like almost a big piece of scenery
Right.
seemed to make that more realistic for me. Like I remember laying out books and then throwing a blanket over the top of it to make hills. Like I was really into like and then
terrain.
And like having this giant castle made that, or stacking that up on a mountain of books, so it
Right.
was up real high. Yeah, I loved setting up like almost dioramas and then playing with them.
Huh.
So Castle Grayskull, and it was it Grayskull or Skull Mountain had the voice changer?
Skull Mountain.
Yeah, I love
think
those two.
I think I'm with you.
Yeah, only do 3.
I'm with you with that one. That's on my list.
I loved that toy. Steve, you got one?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with the Batmobile, '89 Batmobile.
Okay.
That was still to this day. I wish I had that toy back. I really do. I want to find out. That one I might go on eBay and buy one of these days because I love that toy so much. It might be in my mom's attic somewhere. Who knows? Who knows? I like that one a lot. I did have a tie for that one though.
Go ahead.
It was a Punisher figurine that had a cap gun on his back.
Oh right.
And you put the roll of caps in his back, and you just do the little trigger, and Punisher's like, bah, 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 bah. It was great.
Do you remember the toy Cops?
Yeah.
No, I don't
Cops
remember
were
the toy Cops.
all cap guns.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
It was like a futuristic police force, and all the cops were like very specialized, like Joe's. Like one was a motorcycle cop, and one was, but all of them had cap guns. And I was such a little like puss when I was a kid.
You didn't
Like,
want to get like burned or
No, I was terrified of caps.
Oh, okay.
And like my little brother knew that, and he would just run around snapping them, like torturing me with them. Oh my god, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Joe?
I'm gonna go with Castle Grayskull, Mike.
Sweet. My number 2 and 1, you guys are probably not going to remember or know.
Transformers?
Nope, not at all.
Oh, is it
little,
that? Is that
knobby thing?
Is your knobby handy claw thing?
Yeah, my number 2 is Armatron.
Hi.
My number 2 is Armatron. I made a big deal about this when I saw it in Stranger Things Season 2.
Joe found you one on the old internet
Yeah, he did.
to buy.
Right, yeah. You can get them on eBay. They're all over the place. But it was a Radio Shack made toy. That it was a claw arm.
Right.
And you pick things up with it. And it came with a little set of pieces that you can manipulate and do all types of things with, stack them on top of one another and do little tasks and stuff like that. And I loved it. I loved like kinesthetic things like that. So that's my number 2 favorite toy of all time.
What's yours, Mike?
I am going to say the Tomahawk for the Joes.
You have the same list. Come on now.
Did you really? That was going to be? I loved that.
I bought a refurbished one.
Did you?
Yep. Just
the brown one?
Yep.
So the Tomahawk was the Tomahawk helicopter?
Yeah.
And it was like a troop transport
yeah.
helicopter with
It
the
was a
giant
hold-all.
open sides?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it held like 10 figures.
Yeah, you could put a whole bunch of Joes in it.
Everything in G.I. Joe, as far as the vehicles, seemed to be oversized.
Oh, yeah.
The planes were really big, right?
Yeah.
That giant ship. That
I had, what was their F-16 with the tiger's grin on the side?
The Conquest.
I had a regular one, gray one, and then I had a Tiger Force one. And then I had a giant, like a stealth plane.
The Night Raven.
Huge. It only sat 2 people, but like 4 feet. Oh, no. It wasn't that one. It was like it looked more like a B-52 bomb. Not a B-52, the Black Hawk. Wasn't that one. I got to look it up. But I had so many. But the Tomahawk was my favorite. By far my favorite.
Yeah.
Had ropes where you could fast rope guys down into the battle.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I love the Tomahawk. 2 big whirling blades.
The port in the back that guys could unload out the back.
Yeah, or like a small tank.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What's your number 1s, since you both have the same number 2s?
No, I think we're going to go differently because you guys. So go ahead. What do you got? Millennium Falcon.
You had one?
I did.
Wow. You had the really good toys, man.
Both my parents worked 2 jobs our entire life.
Yeah.
And we never had anything because but we always had toys. Like they spoiled us rotten with toys. They did.
Wow.
Like my parents worked their asses off so we could have that kind of stuff. And like we had so many toys.
You don't have it anymore?
No. Did I tell a story of that on this podcast ever?
I don't.
So that is, I was really into Star Wars, and
Right.
Star Wars was not a thing you could get anymore.
Yeah.
My older cousins who lived in Ireland had,
You did tell the story.
and my mother called, and their mother took it off their shelf, sent it to me, and I got it for Christmas.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
But they were really good about it, so it was stickers were still on it, all the parts. Yeah.
That's great.
It was that giant Millennium Falcon, all the figures fit in it. You could pull the back of it off.
Right.
And get the whole access to like the chest set and everything. And then in the front, you could put 2 people in the cockpit. Oh, it was such a cool toy. Had the ramp and the legs that folded out.
Nice.
Crazy nice toy. Yeah.
What's
No
yours,
more.
Joe?
My number 1's going to be the Ninja Turtle figures,
Oh, okay.
but not the 4 turtles. I always like the accessory.
O'Neil?
No,
Oh.
the accessory figures like Casey Jones.
Casey Jones is my favorite.
Usagi Yojimbo. I remember
Who was the duck? I liked the duck.
Ace Duck.
Yeah, I had
Yep.
Ace Duck.
Bebop and Rocksteady?
No, like I like the hero ones.
Oh, the hero,
Yeah,
okay.
like the
Gotcha,
ones that
yeah.
weren't on the cartoon
Okay.
regularly.
Yeah.
So like I love like going and like when you get the back of the box, you're like, all right, you're gonna find Raphael,
Yep.
Donatello, Shredder, all those guys. But going to the store and seeing like a character you've never seen on the show, or they're probably coming down the pike, and you're like, I have this.
Yeah.
Like you were trying to get the figures that no one had before they got it.
Yeah.
So when you go to the Toys R Us and they open up those boxes and you go to the shelf and you dig like real deep in the back, you're like, holy cow, they have this guy who's a frog, you know?
Yep.
Or the panda.
The panda?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I remember getting the rabbit.
Yeah, it was like a samurai.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was on St. Patrick's Day. And my grandparents took us to like an Irish festival, and we didn't want to go. It was like a street fair and, like parade and everything.
Right.
And there was a guy selling toys, and my grandmother bought me that toy. And I went home the next day and I was playing with it outside in our house on the deck in the backyard. And I gave him a bad guy hit him. He slid across the deck and fell between the deck and the fence.
And you never had him again?
Never got him again. I remember like 5 years later when my father was like, "We gotta take the piece of the deck down." I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna get him." Nope, never gone.
Oh,
Gone. Don't know what happened to him. Played with him once.
Oh,
yeah.
Stinks.
Yeah. I remember that watching him slide right off in the just big enough space between the deck and the gone. Gone forever.
I think it's like you said though, like that's the first toy that I knew about and I actively pursued them.
Yes.
Like G.I. Joe, He-Man, Transformers, Thundercats, those were all before me. So like I was too young to know that these were popular and cool. Like someone else had them. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I want this.
Mm-hmm.
And like your parents did your best to get you whichever ones you could find.
Right.
I don't even know if I made I just might have put G.I. Joe on my list,
Right.
and not even like specific characters. And I remember walking down on Christmas seeing like 20 blister, like the character on card.
Yeah.
Just sitting on the couch and being like, this is amazing.
But just think of it like something like like an Optimus Prime or Snake Eyes, who came out before you.
Tunnel Rat.
Well, yeah.
Tunnel Rat guy.
But like those characters came out before we were old enough to know what G.I. Joe was.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely.
So like for like your mom or your dad to go to the store and they want Snake Eyes, or you if you saw somebody else with it, there's no way you're going to find it because they just don't make it anymore.
No, and you know what it was though? I would have taken any.
Oh, anything. I was happy with anything.
Yeah, because I didn't know
had that logo on it.
Like my favorite character is Snake Eyes. Tunnel Rat. He was never in the show, just because I loved he had that giant scoped gun. Yep. But when it came to Ninja Turtles, like I knew the ones.
Yeah, you knew which ones. And you knew which ones you had, which ones you didn't have.
I did, and I used to keep the cards and check stuff off the back.
My number one is it's a game, not a figure or anything. It's called Crossbows and Catapults.
Oh my god, I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
100%.
I freaking love.
I wanted this for years.
I played this every single day by myself. I played it with my brother. It didn't really matter. Do you know what this is, Joe?
No, I never heard this before.
This was
a cool game.
Yeah, this was very cool and intricate.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have blocks that look like stones that have like little interconnecting dimples in them. They're not Legos because they don't click in like that. They just kind of sit on top of one another like real stones. And you have a gray set and you have a beige set. And then you get like, it looks like placemats. These two square placemats. And the placemat is your foundation of your castle. And in the center of the placemat is a picture of your treasure. So whatever your crown or whatever it is.
Dude, I'm legitimately jealous of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
My cousins had this. They lived way the fuck upstate.
Yeah.
I remember like, can we go? And they were like, why? I'm like, oh, I want to see them. I want to miss them. And it was just so I could play with that fucking game.
So you have to build your castle.
So they're your cousin TJ then, huh?
Yeah.
You have to build your castle around your treasure. Each person, so now there's two castles. You have to face off against one another.
Right.
Each person, the gray castle gets little blue plastic discs.
Okay.
These things were freaking heavy. Like if you got hit in the head with this thing, it was leaving a mark. These weren't like little, like this was the real deal. Right. They're like little hockey pucks. Right. Well, the gray castle had blue ones, and they had like Viking stickers on them or something like that. And the beige castle had little red ones. And you had a catapult that was put together with a rubber band. It was a plastic catapult with a rubber band mechanism. And you had a crossbow that went on the floor and had a rubber band mechanism. You had to knock the castle down with your hockey puck discs, and then you had to get one of your hockey pucks on top of the treasure in the middle of their placemat. So you stood across, so you faced off against one another.
Right.
You know, me and my brother would face off like 3 or 4 feet away from each other, and we would fling these things off of the catapult and hit the castle, and it would explode.
Right.
Because these little things were very loosely held together. These stones were very loosely held together. And then once you got the stones out of the way, then you use the catapult on the floor to kind of like table football.
Right.
The little disc, the little hockey puck onto the placemat. And once you got your disc onto their treasure, you won. I played this nonstop for years and years and years. We lost the box for it. We got another box from another game and threw that away and used this to keep the crossbows and catapults.
Chess, we don't need that anymore.
No, I remember what it was. It was a basketball. It was like, you know, the basketball arcade games. It was a miniature version of that, like a tabletop version. Yeah, with the little plastic basketballs.
That game sounds familiar, like another one I had. It was called Torpedo Run.
Okay.
You guys remember that? It was a big game board. Like it was like you could lay across this thing.
Okay.
It was the same concept. You had submarines that were rubber band.
Okay.
And you loaded little plastic discs through the top, and you would flick the rubber band and would shoot the discs.
Yeah.
But in the middle of the board were your battleships.
Okay.
And each battleship had like their gun turrets or like parts of like an antenna that would snap in. They were held by the rubber bands.
Okay.
So every time your disc would go into like the little groove underneath the ship, a part of the battleship would pop out.
Gotcha.
And once all of your battleships were gone,
cool,
you won the game.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I love this
Steve,
thing.
they reissued this game in 2007.
Yeah.
With armies that you had to take out as well.
Oh yeah, we had men. We had little men. They were like little green men, like that, but they were beige and gray.
How much is it, Mike?
Oh, like $170.
It's so worth it though, man.
Want to go halvesies?
Yeah, I'll definitely go halvesies.
It clearly has a big following because it is all over the internet. It came up immediately.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I love that game, man. That was my number one game.
That was cool. And I think like later on there were other expansions for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like not like different kinds of catapults and guns and cannons and stuff. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. All right, so the next question is, what were the 3 toys you never got that you always wanted?
Oh boy,
mine's easy. I never got Voltron.
Ever?
Now I have it, but as a kid, I never had original Voltron. I always wanted the Sword of Omens. I never got the Sword of Omens, and I never had one of those Power Wheels. I always wanted a Power Wheel.
Yeah, Power Wheels on my list.
Those are my 3 right there.
You never had a Power Wheel?
No.
Oh, we had a red Jeep.
Nope.
I had the stupid sword from like Ringling Brothers. like you either bought a red one or a blue one, and that was my sword. I made believe that was my Sword of Omens.
Oh, I had Sword of Omens. I had both He-Man swords.
Now I own like
I want to say the flag, but
I'm going to say the flag. That's my number 1 by mile. The flag.
That's the giant ship.
All 3 of mine.
I didn't know about it then.
Oh, I did. My cousin had one.
Right.
My cousin Joe
I didn't know anyone
had
that
a flag. His parents, the entire basement was his for toys. And like I said, I always like to have big battles. So my G.I. Joes used to use the Ghostbusters house as their base of operations because I never had nothing significant enough to act as a base.
Castle Grayskull was base of operations for everybody.
Yeah.
That's the only like play sets that I had.
Yeah.
Were Castle Grayskull and Skull Mountain.
No, and I had what do you call it? I had the Ghostbusters house, so that's the good guys.
Yeah.
And the bad guys, the castles. Flag, Terradrome.
Okay.
I wanted the Terradrome.
That another G.I. Joe thing?
Yeah, that's the bad guy. Like it's a round. He has one.
Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is.
It's a round circular base, and it launched a big like missile out of the middle.
I'm going to sell it soon.
Are you? I have no space for it. Otherwise, I would buy it off you. And then the other one was the spaceship. The G.I. Joe spaceship.
Oh,
Did
the
it look
Defiant.
It had a spaceship and like the.
Did it look like the channel, like a NASA ship?
Yes, just like it.
Oh my God,
And-
Steve! It's like, it's gigantic.
And it rolled out. It had like the. What do you call it? Like the mover that moves the spaceship into. Like it had that with the launch tower.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I always liked the really big cars, tanks, trucks. Loved them.
I'm with you with the Power Wheels. I'm gonna go one with the G.I. Joe.
I had Power Wheels, yeah.
G.I. Joe had it was like a very box-looking tank, but you folded it open like a fishing tackle box.
Both sides.
Yep, and it was 3 different levels of.
I know what you're talking about. One of my cousins had that as well.
I wanted that. It was the closest thing to a base.
It looked like the Sandcrawler from Star Wars.
Yes.
And it would fold open.
Yeah.
And there was more stuff inside.
Yeah.
But there was control panels and like
missile
maps.
turret. There's like a triage room, a jail, command center. I was like, this is perfect. This is all I need. Just put it in a corner, and that's base.
No, I never had that either.
Nice.
And my number 1 will probably be Prime and Megatron.
I never had a Megatron.
I never had either. So I mean, I had the older Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
But it was never like the same. Like with the trailer, it was always something. Like,
I still have the trailer and I have the probe, but I don't have his hands.
I'll find your hands.
All right. My next door neighbor Greg had Megatron.
Yeah.
Like the gun one. It was tiny. Megatron was a little tiny toy. When you transformed him, he was a little tiny gun. He wasn't very large at all.
Huh.
What happened to all your childhood toys?
Broke.
Oh, mine all got thrown away.
Thrown away?
We packed them all up. Like when I went off to college, probably out of the basement, packed them all up in boxes. And by the time I got back from college, my brother had thrown them like systematically, went up one box at a time, threw them all away.
I think I sold everything at a garage sale. Stupid.
Every one of them's gone.
I remember when I was a kid,
Like I probably had every G1.
Every G1 Transformer?
No, every G1
G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe figure. Like every one.
Yeah. My G.I. Joes probably all got broken.
Beat the hell, but I had them all.
Yeah, and once they were broken, like we didn't know how to fix them. Like
no, I remember my dad putting regular like house rubber bands in them.
all you just needed like little plumbing rings.
Yeah.
And once they were broken, that was it. Once they
sell kits now of the rings to fix them.
I remember though.
No thumbs. None of mine had thumbs.
I lost all my superheroes. I don't know what happened to them. One day, like we were cleaning like stuff out in my house, and for some reason we think the box with the superheroes went in the trash by mistake.
Yeah.
One day they were there, and then the next day they were gone. And like my mother took apart the house. Like my dad would like go to like comic book stores to try to find them and track them down. And he's like, they're just too much money to buy secondhand again.
Yeah.
And thank God they came out with the Batman movie figures.
Mm-hmm.
And then Marvel came out with the new one.
Oh, so you were little when they went out.
Yeah, it was like a traumatizing day.
When I was in college, my nephew was over the house, and my mom brought out this little bag full of toys to my nephew.
Right.
And it was my kindergarten backpack. It was like issued by the school. It said St. Rita's School on it, and you wrote your name at the bottom of it. It was like this pleathery material. It was a cinch bag,
Right.
cinch it together. And I was like, "What do you got there?" She goes, "Oh, well, I saved some of the toys that we don't have anymore. I saved them." So I opened this bag up. Optimus Prime's in there. Soundwave's in there. Insecticons are in there. Destructicons are in there.
You can't play with this. This is mine.
Yeah, I was like, he can't play with these. I'm 18 years old. I'm like, he can't play with these. There was like a Daredevil, a Baron Zemo in there. I was like, I took the ones I wanted. I brought them down to my apartment. I gave him the rest, like the GoBots or the fake Transformers and whatever else was half broken. But thank God she saved a handful of toys, because if it wasn't for her, I'd have nothing.
Yeah.
I'd have nothing if it wasn't for her.
It's crazy, but at this point in my life, I would want some of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would never play with it, but just to put it up on a shelf.
Yeah, that's what I have in my basement.
Yeah, like I would really like to have.
We still
some
my
of them.
display of all my He-Man and Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. I would like to have Joe's. I really would.
I went down after the holiday party to clean up, and I see this little white door with a blue and red sticker on it.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, oh, please don't be Jazz. Please don't be Jazz. And I go down and I look at it, and the number 4 is on it. And it was my original Jazz door off of Jazz. Thank God the doors were like pressured on. It was like, all you have to do is, squeeze a little bit, and the plastic opens up and wraps around the next piece.
Yeah.
Oh, but I almost died. I was like, this is like a 30-year-old toy that has never been damaged ever, and the kids got a hold of it and just ripped the doors off of it.
But there's gonna be hell to pay now.
No, I hid them. Now I gotta hide them. So that's all right though. It'll take 2 seconds. Put them in a shoebox. Put them on the shelf or something.
Wow. Yeah, I would love just the figures of the G.I. Joes. Put them up on the shelf.
Well, I love when they ccame out with the new run.
They don't have them out now because I looked.
No, and they're expensive to buy in the second market.
Very, very.
I have them. Like, I bought the ones that I liked. I wish I would have bought all of them, and just I have a whole set of those. But
I assume they'll do it again at some other anniversary.
Yeah.
The big deal, the reason we're doing toys today, is because of a show that we really enjoyed on Netflix called The Toys That Made Us, and we were lucky enough to get an interview with the executive producer. You guys have watched the show?
Yeah.
Yes, very much.
There's only 4 episodes right now.
Yep.
And this is one of my favorite documentaries. I love documentaries like this, but especially when it hits real home.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I never played with any of the toys in the first 4 episodes.
Right.
And I still absolutely loved watching this show because of the history. You have no idea how much drama there is behind the toy making business and industry,
or how much luck went into it.
The first episode's about Star Wars,
right,
and how Mattel didn't want to make the toys, and another no-name company in Cincinnati, Kenner, decided they were going to make it. The second episode, I want to say, it wasn't Barbie. That was episode 3.
2 is He-Man.
2 is He-Man. 3 is Barbie.
And 4 is G.I. Joe.
And 4 is G.I. Joe. And each one of them is an hour long.
I actually think Barbie was the most entertaining.
Was great.
Yeah.
The story's crazy.
The lady who designed her became a lunatic.
Yeah.
The engineer that they hired to formulate all the body parts was a sicko pervert in the head.
He became so rich, he built a castle with a moat.
Right.
And it had a sex dungeon.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
The moat kept away the Black Knight. See, we come full circle in this show all the time.
Right. Or he was the Black Knight. Who knows?
Oh, but that was really fascinating one. And most of the toys we play with, you didn't have a social aspect to them.
No.
No matter how big He-Man, muscular, people were you're giving boys a bad body image.
Right.
But Barbie's been so intrinsically tied to that. It was really fascinating.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
Love the show. I can't wait. I guess that was the whole season 1 was just 4 episodes. I wonder if they wanted to see how it fared on Netflix. I can't wait for the next season if there's going to be one. Hopefully there is, and that's going to be something you hear me ask the executive producer Brian.
I really enjoyed seeing the interview with Larry Hama.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
The whole time I'm just thinking, I met this guy 5 times and he never wanted to talk to me.
I know, but that's what I mean. He was so chatty
Yeah.
on the show. And I don't even remember the guy's name who drew a lot of the initial sketches for the characters.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Did you see like all like the little things he had in his office?
I know, tons.
Oh,
all
man.
original artwork.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
cool.
I had no idea that was a toy before it was a comic book.
I loved that most of those were a toy, and then they
Yeah.
were like, "I guess we got to make a show to sell it."
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really cool because the toy executives were like, well, how are we going to sell this to little boys? Oh, I didn't tell you there's a comic book that goes along with it. And then they were like, really? There's a comic book? He's like, no, I just made that up, but now we have to make one.
Yeah.
And they came back like, "We don't think the comic book's good enough." He's like, "There was a show, right? I told you about the show," and they're like, "What?" Like, yeah, I guess we're gonna do a cartoon now.
Yeah, that's really awesome, man. But
That cartoon, I don't know if there's anything I watched more as a child.
No.
Than the G.I. Joe or He-Man show, and they were both like afterthoughts, like let's see if we can make this happen. Like they weren't planned out; they just threw them together.
Like the He-Man figures that were the prototypes for He-Man that were like half Star Wars, half He-Man.
I love the story of both of those where they like kit bashed together. Like they took an existing toy and like put modeling clay on and like, look, a hero. And I'm like, that is so cool.
We took Luke Skywalker's, put a lot of modeling clay on him. And we got
the G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
I really enjoy. It was so nice to see a lot of the toys I had when I was a kid, and to learn the backstory of them. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. It's an excellent documentary series. A lot of the stuff Netflix does is really clever and good. They know the market they're going after, the generation they're going after. And this one was, very well done.
So we got a little lucky, and we contacted the Twitter because the first thing I did after I watched it, I was like, I'm gonna go follow these guys on Twitter.
Right.
And, maybe when we do an episode about the show, maybe they'll retweet us. That was my thinking.
They're always really good about like liking stuff on our Facebook page, on our Instagram. Because when I reach out to them, they automatically just follow. If I post something about a figure, they're on there.
Well, there's one person who does all the social media. She's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
And I went to their Twitter, and I'm like, they only have 1,500 followers? How is this possible? They only have, we have double the amount of followers?
Joe was so far ahead of this one.
Yeah. Well, this was after the show came out on Netflix, Mike.
Yeah, but Joe knew this, how long ago were you writing to these guys?
Oh, months and months ago.
Months and months and months and months. Joe was way ahead of this. Like I almost thought when he first said, I'm like, this is fake news.
Right.
This is a typical Joe.
And then we got the stickers. I'm like, oh, maybe this is for real. So I was like, I'm just going to message them. And if they say no to me, they say no to me. What's the big deal? The next day, I get a message back. Says, yeah, the creator would love to talk to you. I'm like, who's the creator? I was just looking. I would have taken the voiceover guy.
The camera guy?
Yeah, I would have taken anybody. But yeah, they got in touch with me. And we got to interview Brian Volk-Weiss, who's the creator of the show. So I go into IMDb, as you do, to do some research for an interview. And this gentleman is the executive producer for almost every Netflix comedy series or stand-up comedy special that's on Netflix.
Right up our alley.
Aziz, Aziz Ansari?
Yep.
He produced that one. He produced Bill Burr's Walk Your Way Out. He produced, let's see, a couple of History Channel shows, U.S. American Warrior, Kevin Hart, Todd Barry, Taylor Williams, Craig Ferguson, Bob Saget.
That's a big list.
The list goes on and on and on. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. So here you go. Here's the interview with Brian Volk-Weiss. Hope you enjoy it.
Take it away, boys. Pew pew.
Brian, how you doing, man?
I am good. How are you, sir?
I'm very well. My name is Steve.
And I'm Joe.
We are from Dinner and a Podcast.
What's up, Steve and Joe?
Nothing much, man. We're so happy to talk to you. Thank you for spending some time with us.
Thank you for being interested in our show. Thank you
our
very
pleasure.
much.
Oh, the show's great, Brian. Really, really love it. You're from Queens, right?
Thank you. I'm from Queens. I live in L.A., unfortunately, for close to 20 years. But I grew up, the first 18 were in Queens. Where are you guys?
I'm from Staten Island, and Joe is from Queens.
And I'm from Queens.
Whereabouts?
Middle Village.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I'm from Forest Hills.
Oh, we're practically neighbors.
Indeed we are.
How many interviews did you have to do today, Brian?
This is my first, but I got 2 more coming up. But to be completely honest with you, I could talk about this morning, noon, and night. So it is definitely my pleasure.
Oh, awesome. So tell us about how you got into the business, because when I looked you up on IMDb, I wasn't expecting to see all the comedy specials that you produced. So how did you get into the business?
Are you guys recording this?
Yes.
Fantastic. So basically, I was, always into comedy and, not like crazy into comedy. Like toys I've been into crazy forever. But I just always liked comedy. And I ended up at a small company, kind of randomly, that specialized in comedy. And that's how it began. So I was a manager. I used to represent comedians. I only represented comedians.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're a manager, every now and then one of your clients gets a stand-up special, and I started producing the stand-up specials for my clients. Then I was asked to produce specials for non-clients, which at first I was very offended by, but then I was like, it's kind of my job to make money, so I could probably do that. So I started making more specials for non-clients. Then I stopped managing, and luckily people seem to think that we did, an okay job, and we just keep getting opportunities to work and make stand-up comedy specials, and it's been the greatest thing in the whole world.
Now, you are a Grammy Award winner, correct?
Yeah. I won 2 years ago for Louis C.K., even though maybe it's not okay to admit that anymore. I don't know. I did win.
We did our last episode that we recorded last week was our favorite stand-up comedy specials, and Louis C.K. was on every one of our lists, so you don't have to feel shy about that at all. Don't worry about that.
Well, I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
And we got 4 of the 5 coming up next weekend.
Oh wow! Because the names that are listed that you've produced: Kevin Hart, Aziz Ansari, Jim Gaffigan, Craig Ferguson, Bill Burr. These are some really huge names. Was there any one of them that you really preferred to work with?
This is it's. I hate people when I read interviews who give kind of bullshit, dodgy. Can I curse?
Absolutely.
I hate people who give bullshit answers. So but I also hate when I get asked a question where my answer could sound like bullshit. But this is the truthful answer. I've worked with, over 250 comedians.
Wow.
I adamantly disliked 3. And then I probably mildly disliked another 5. And then other than those 8, liked or loved the other 242.
That's great.
That's great. When you love your job, it's so easy.
Really, that's a real answer. Like that's just the truth. We're very blessed in who we've been able to work with, and most of these people are really cool.
Yeah. Most of them are pretty laid back, right?
Yeah, and even the ones that are not laid back, you understand and respect why they're not, and it doesn't mean they're not cool just because they're not laid back.
Gotcha. One other comedy question for you, and this doesn't have to do with you working with them or anything like that. Who are your favorite comedians? Because some of ours were Louis C.K., Bill Burr, Brian Regan, Kevin Hart, Jim Gaffigan, Dave Chappelle. Do you have favorite comedians that you prefer to listen to?
I mean, there are a lot of comedians who are my favorites. Yeah, I mean, you just named a lot of them. But I mean, I love Gaffigan. I love Ali Wong. I love Bill Burr. I love Kevin Hart. And then there's people I haven't worked with who I love. I love Chris Rock. I love Bill Hicks, who I never met. I love Richard Pryor. So yeah, that's a pretty good list. Those are my loves.
Excellent, very very good. So let's start talking about toys. Let's start talking about the show that we're here to talk about. Tell me about how you came about creating the show, The Toys That Made Us.
Basically, I have, from the toys that I played with, those toys became the foundations of my collection. So I started playing with toys, and I stopped playing with toys, then I started buying toys just to put on the shelf, and then, hey, all of a sudden, I collected toys, and I love toys. I travel extensively for my job. I go to vintage toy stores every place I go, and so that was the first piece. And then the second piece is that I'm a huge history buff, and I have been since I was 5 or 6 years old. And one of the things I noticed a while ago was that, there's probably at least 24, maybe 36 books, for example, about the War of 1812. Then you got like thousands of books written, literally probably 2,000 books have been written about World War II, and, a couple hundred about Vietnam, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, and I'm not trying to put down the War of 1812, so don't get me wrong, but it's like, you got 2-3 dozen books about War of 1812, but like Transformers and He-Man is considerably more well-known and more important to the childhood and upbringings of pretty much, I would say a significant percentage of the human population, over the age of 30, 35. Right. Mm-hmm. Like, why has there never been a documentary about Transformers? Like, why has there never been, like, a documentary on cable or TV or whatever about He-Man? So that was the inspiration, was my love of history, my love of toys, and realizing that, yes, there have definitely been some documentaries made about toys. We are, without a doubt, not the first people to do it. But convincing a network to give us the funding necessary to do it in a very big, deep way, that is what I set out to do.
Do you think that your previous success in the industry made it easier for you to get this show made?
So it's an interesting question, and you have to understand I'm biased because I'm me. When you ask the question, if I were a dentist in Oklahoma, I might think my answer is ridiculous.
Right.
But basically, I was trying, with all my relationships and everybody I know, it still took me 7 or 8 years to sell the show.
Wow.
So maybe a dentist in Oklahoma never could have sold it.
Right.
So I'm ahead of that guy. But the reason, to your point, the reason I was able to sell it ultimately, and I got very close a couple times. I was very close twice. I won't say where, but, I mean, I got a phone call where I thought it was them saying, we're doing 8 episodes instead of 6. Mm-hmm. And it was a phone call saying, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
So I came real close a few times.
Wow.
But yes, the reason why Netflix initially it was easier to get it done there was because I had done so much work in stand-up comedy space that they knew me, they knew my love of toys, so they knew it was genuine, and they also knew I have a production company they could trust. That, when you give someone millions and millions of dollars, they're actually going to deliver something that you're paying them to do. Though I will say this, I mean, Netflix still took a huge risk. All we had ever made for Netflix was stand-up comedy. Mm-hmm. And, they trusted us to do an 8-episode kind of investigative story about toys. I know you don't look at it that way, but from the nomenclature of unscripted, that's sort of what it was. So they did take a risk on us, and I know the show has a lot of humor in it, but it's not a comedy.
No,
so
not at all.
Netflix really trusted a company famous for making one-off stand-up specials and gave them 8 episodes of a series about toys. So I always try to give them props when I think about that.
To your point that, it's not a comedy, my wife doesn't play with toys. My wife doesn't collect toys. I still collect toys, but I'm not a crazy collector like you see on,
like me.
Like Joe. Joe's a pretty crazy collector of G.I. Joes and things like that. I like to have toys from my childhood. I don't like to have other people's toys. I like to have my own toys and keep them in good shape and put them around the house. But my wife, who doesn't collect toys and never wanted to, she found your show amazingly interesting because it is. You made G.I. Joe interesting to a 35-year-old woman with 2 kids. And it's because she's a history buff like you, and she found it so interesting to see the behind the scenes and the interactions between toy companies and the fights that people would have over the who created what and who was responsible for making which toy. So kudos to you for doing a great job with that.
A, thank you. B, I mean, if there was a target 10 10,000 miles away and we had a bow and arrow and we tried to hit a bullseye, you saying what you just said is the bullseye.
There you go.
Our first cut of Star Wars, which was the first episode that we delivered, was just under 2.5 hours long.
Wow.
And our executive, a guy named Nat Gruley, one of the best execs I've ever worked with, Nat called me after he got it, and he was like, hey, man, you know, this is your show, and, you know, we support you and your vision, but I don't know if you ever want to make more of these, but I can promise you there's not going to be more than 8 if you're turning in 2.5-hour episodes,
Right.
even if we get it down to 2 hours.
Right.
And the example that he used in that conversation, which became the rallying cry of our show for the entire crew, which was, you know, a couple dozen people. Have you ever heard of the character Vlix?
No.
Exactly. So Vlix, everybody knows about the Boba Fett, but Vlix is actually the rarest and most valuable figure that went into production. He was a character from one of the Star Wars cartoons, the one for the Ewoks.
Okay.
It never was for sale in the U.S. Kenner sent the molds to Brazil. Brazil released the figures, and then the figures all disappeared and whatever. They're extremely valuable. Out of the box, they're like $5 to $10,000.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
So we, believe it or not, we had like a 6 or 7 minute section on Vlix. And our executive at Netflix goes, yeah, man, like, nobody cares about Vlix. Like, maybe 0.0001% of Star Wars collectors do. But, like, we're Netflix, and we're worldwide, and we're really trying to bring as much joy to our subscribers as possible. And if you make a show with a 6-minute section of Vlix, and we always talk about my wife, because my wife is very similar to yours, actually almost identical to yours, age-wise, and we have 2 kids and whatever. But he said, he's like, your wife, and Nat, our exec, was British. That's why he says tea and not coffee. But he goes, your wife is going to keep getting up to make tea if she's watching a 2-hour Star Wars episode with a 6-minute Vlix section.
Yeah.
Right.
So that conversation is what directly led to the reason why your wife enjoyed the show, based on how you described her.
And you made me like a Barbie episode. You know, you made a 35-year-old man who collects, who polishes his old Transformers like a Barbie episode. It was easy to sell my wife on the Barbie episode, but you wanted to watch more, and we watched all 4 episodes together. It was great.
I cannot tell you how just amazing that is to hear. So, thank you very much.
So, Brian, what toys did you grow up playing with, and what was your favorite toy to produce?
My main toy growing up was Star Wars. Like, if I could only have had one toy, that would have been it.
Right.
And then close runner-up would be a tie between G.I. Joe and Transformers. And then I had Legos always. So, I mean, I stopped playing with all my other toys, but I never stopped building Legos.
Right.
So I always make sure to include Lego, even though it's obviously not, you know.
What toy has the most sentimental value to you that you own today?
You know, I have my my die-cast Microline Millennium Falcon from when I was a little kid.
Yeah, I still have those too.
And I'll tell you something really funny. I live in LA, like I told you, and about a month ago, my whole family, in less than half an hour, had to evacuate our house because of the fires.
Oh man!
And I literally had to fucking pick the shit that I wanted to take, and it's amazing what I didn't take in retrospect. But yeah, I took that Millennium Falcon. I had some of the minifigs that I played with from Lego when I was like 3 years old. I took those and a couple other things that had financial value.
Right.
But that Millennium Falcon was the first thing that I packed. Like, yeah.
Well, that leads me to my next question. What's the most expensive toy you own?
The most expensive toy I own is probably I have a there's 2 things. that, whenever things go to auction, who the hell knows what people are going to pay or not.
Right.
But I have two things that are sort of, in my mind, near each other in value. One is I have an MOC Death Star droid in like 99% condition. I mean, it's perfect.
Wow.
It's been well taken care of. It's in perfect condition. So there's that. And then I have a unreleased Wesley Crusher Galoob figure that not only are there only 10 known to exist at all, but I have what's called a packaging test version, and that means that it's a Wesley Crusher figure on a Captain Picard package, because they were just testing the packaging. And there are only 2 of those known to exist.
Wow. Super
so
rare.
those are definitely the top 2.
You got that in a vault or something in the house?
No, they're in my home office. So, by the way, with the fires and everything, I definitely need to call the insurance company and make sure all that stuff is taken care of. But,
right.
I mean, the Wesley Crusher figure, I mean, that's not replaceable. I mean, like I said, there's one other known to exist, but highly difficult to replace.
I can imagine.
So the first 4 episodes of the show, which you can find obviously on Netflix, was Star Wars, He-Man, Barbie, and G.I. Joe. Did you have a favorite moment that you remember making those particular 4 shows?
I had a lot of favorite moments. I mean, I got to be honest with you. Like, there were many times I was in interviews, like, crying. I mean, it partly just from emotion, partly from joy. But I would say the most, like, just powerful moment for me in the first 4, without a doubt. And the weirdest thing about it is, and maybe it's not a coincidence, I don't know, but it was one of my original visions for the show, one of the first things I thought about, and then we went off and did it. And while we were doing it, it just literally had me tearing up. But it's when we went to, we took Jim Swearingen and Corky back to the 11th floor of the Kroger building, and they were just walking around, and Jim is like, that's where we made the Millennium Falcons, that's where we made the X-Wings. And it's funny, I went to Gettysburg, the battlefield, when I was a little kid, and I remember there's a tree that's still all shot up with bullets from the battle, and I was always like, it's always interesting seeing something from the past when it mattered in the present. And I just remember being a kid noticing, like, that is so interesting. This tree has been alive for 150 years, and it still has these bullets in it. But, like, the day the bullets were put into the tree, like, there were men dying everywhere.
Yeah.
But now it's just a tree full of bullets, and it was just a very somber moment. So that was my inspiration to see if we could do that with Kenner and Kroger. And we did. Kroger let us in. Corky and Jim were willing to do it. And, I was walking behind the cameras. I mean, literally tears going down my face.
Wow. Let's talk about... I was so upset to only see 4 episodes. I had no idea there were 4 episodes, because when the introduction comes on, it says it's an 8-part series. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm watching the last episode, which I think was G.I. Joe, right? G.I. Joe was episode 4.
I believe so.
And it ended, and I'm like, all right, let's start the next one. And there wasn't one. And I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? I should have spaced these out a little bit more. So when is season 2 going to come out, if you can say?
In about 4 months.
Okay. All right. And
what can we expect?
Yeah, can you tell us about it, what we can expect from them?
Sure. It's Transformers, Lego, Hello Kitty, and Star Trek.
Oh, fantastic.
Star Trek, really? See, now I was never a big...
always scratching their head about that one.
Okay. I can't wait to watch every single one of them. Is it going to be one on Rainbow Bright in the future? How about this? Are there toys that you want to make shows of that you haven't produced yet?
Yes, we have a list of 20 more episodes that we would like to make. We have not been greenlit for even a single additional episode, but we have a list of 20 episodes. Some of them are one toy, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
right,
and some of them are more themed, like toys that should have not been made.
Okay.
Or, stuff like that. So, yeah, so there's 20 ideas.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. My next question was going to be, did you ever run into toys where you wanted to make a show, but you didn't have enough substance behind the toy to make an hour show?
No, because, we had the luxury of, this was the first season, so we had the luxury of being able to take the best of the best.
Right.
So, and again, some people are very upset about Star Trek, like why wouldn't you do My Little Pony or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles instead of Star Trek? Star Trek wasn't even like a real toy line, which I completely disagree with. But, and even Barbie, a lot of people are like, why are you doing Barbie? It should have been Turtles, should have been Hot Wheels, should have been WWF. So Netflix was also very supportive. They let me do what I wanted to do. So I picked the 8. And I just picked the best of the best from my point of view, admittedly biased by my own experiences.
Where can people find and follow Toys That Made Us? How can people find you outside of Netflix?
In my opinion, the best place is Facebook. We have, I think we have about 180,000 followers.
Wow.
We're getting about 1,000 followers a day now. We post every day, at least one thing a day. And we've been posting stuff that got cut out from the show. So like that Flicks thing I told you about, we posted, about 2 minutes of that. We posted this He-Man thing that we had to cut out.
Yeah, the Wonder Bread He-Man, yep.
Yeah, so we put stuff on Facebook every day. It's kind of like a diary for the show. So we started the Facebook page in December of 2016, and we literally, the whole time we were filming, were posting and just talking about what we were doing and who we were interviewing. So, you could theoretically go to the very beginning of our Facebook page and see how we made the show.
Very good, man. Brian, I want to thank you so much for giving us your time. We really love the show. We can't wait to see the next 4 episodes and hopefully the next 20.
Yep.
Hopefully the next 20 episodes. So thank you so much for your time, Brian. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your interest. I appreciate it. Stay warm out there.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Bye.
Well, there it was, our interview with Brian Volk-Weiss. He was such an amazing guest. He was so interesting to talk to. He was very willing to answer our questions. He was a great guest. So thank you to him. Thank you to everybody who put us in contact with him. Callie, Rachel.
You're welcome.
Joe, above all, who got the ball rolling months and months and months ago. Can't wait to watch the rest of the episode. So thank you very much, Brian, for that. Really appreciate it. So that'll lead us into a very quick social shit time.
It's time once again for your favorite segment. What time is it?
Social shit time!
All right.
So I put the question out on Twitter. What was your favorite childhood toy? So we got many responses about this. So we got from Fans on Patrol, the Millennium Falcon, the original Millennium Falcon.
Solid toy.
Cult 45 says the first version of the Raphael Ninja Turtle toy changed his life.
That was a good one, though.
So Wizard Podcast says the AT-AT. From,
oh my God, they had an AT-AT? How big a freaking toy was that? I had a Scout Walker. AT-ST with AT-AT. What a cool toy.
Gareth Thomas.
The speeder, run around it with some string, trip him. Oh.
He says it was his blue teddy bear. He got it the day he was born, and he has it now, and it's 33 years old.
Oh, okay.
That's very sentimental. It's very nice. Mark from So Wizard says his favorite childhood toy was an 8-inch Mego Superman figure.
Okay.
Mego Superman figure. Okay.
Mego Superman. Well, he must be a little older than us. Mego was before us, 70s, but yeah, Megos are very sought after now. Like hard head and cloth bodies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The What If Podcast says, this is from Jay Batts. My favorite childhood toy was my Battle Armor He-Man.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That is a good one.
He also
I had Adam and He-Man, so you could swap them out.
The other host on the What If Podcast says their favorite childhood toy was Ram Man.
He-Man figure.
Yeah, probably not the most exciting, but he really enjoyed it.
You remember the one that had the different parts that put together?
Oh yeah, he was like a lobster man, right? He had two heads, and you could switch out all his arms. Oh, what was he called?
Lobster Man?
No, it probably had something to do with parts or interchango or something.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wesley from Via VHS says this is the best toy ever, and it was the lizard Ghostbusters car.
I had that.
That's a good one.
I had that.
What was it called?
I don't remember.
It was a ghost, and it transformed into a car. I had that.
It looks like a praying mantis almost. Who knows? But it looks cool. It looks like a beetle. It's a beetle, like the G1 Bumblebee. And it pops up with a little ghost head in it.
The Ghostbusters always had something like that. It always transformed into something else.
Yeah.
I remember brother had like a toilet, and then like if you like rolled it, like a mouth came out.
Out in the bowl.
Or he had it was like a football player that turned into a ghost, a policeman that turned into a ghost, a garbage man that turned into a ghost, a librarian. They were all great.
The garbage can, right? He'd slam the garbage can onto his head, and a ghost face would come onto it.
I had that one. I definitely had that one. Not Another Nerdy Podcast says, I'm torn between my Star Wars Death Star playset and my G.I. Joe.
They made that?
I guess so. And my G.I. Joe Cobra Terradrome.
Terradrome.
Well, you had both.
Those are probably my two top favorite toys that I played with most when I was little. Noodle-Rama. Favorite childhood toy would probably be the Easy Bake Oven or many of her dinosaur figures. Mr. Jack Brickhouse. My favorite toy was Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
I never had one.
No, me either.
My kids want one now.
I have one. I bought Christian one.
I'm sure you could find one.
They remake them now. You can get them on any Toys R Us.
Module lock. I told you something. Module lock.
The Poop Culture Podcast says, He-Man and my motherfucking dope-ass GoBots. And I said, really? GoBots? He goes, yeah, my parents couldn't afford Voltron. So thanks for that. Kitty from Kitty Afterburn. My favorite childhood toy when I was super young, the Sit and Spin. Love spinning in circles.
Yeah, Sit and Spin was great. You did that till you fell backwards, all dizzy.
After that, Barbie dolls. Must have had 20 of them. Had to get the new one whenever it came out. Alana got this year's holiday Barbie, and she ripped the box into 35 pieces. My wife was so upset.
That's a toy.
What would you expect a little kid to do?
Oh, she wanted to save it as like a thing.
I don't think
then you don't give it to your kid.
Do they make Sit and Spins anymore? Or too many kids got it from a sit and pin and clipped themselves off the edge of a coffee table?
Somebody told me the other day, one of my coworkers, that he got his nephew Skip It.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know they still made those.
Yeah, they still make those. My nephews have those. Super Movie Bros. Ghostbusters Proton Pack and Trap. Pretty much all in this picture right there. He has a picture of the original one. He says he still has it.
Oh, he even has the meter on that one.
Yep, I had the meter too. I don't have that anymore though. Zombie Kitty Podcast. Hiya, my favorite childhood toy was either a plush Pikachu, I was a huge Pokemon fan, or Winnie the Pooh bear, which I've had since I was 3 years old. I still have this exact bear as well, and it's probably the oldest thing I own.
I have nothing like that. I wish I did. There had to be something I lugged around as a child, but I don't have it anymore.
No.
Robin Slim. Transformers, hand down, bro. My favorites were probably my Protectobot combiners or Metroplex. Jetfire was awesome too. Jetfire was
Jetfire was good. I had him.
I don't know any of those.
Jetfire was like Concorde, wasn't he a Concorde?
Yeah, it was a big jet.
The Evil Geeks. Favorite toy is probably a tie. It's either G.I. Joe Hovercraft. I believe it was called the Killer Whale.
I had one of those.
I didn't have that, but that's a good one.
And this is the one you were talking about, the Cobra SR-71 Blackbird, a.k.a. the Raven. Got one for Christmas and one for my birthday. Special shout out to Super Friends Batmobile, which was driven by plenty of my G.I. Joe figures over the years. What's the Super Friends Batmobile? Which one is that?
It's the Batmobile from the cartoon, like the 80s cartoon that you always see. It kind of looks like a modified version of
the 66 one?
Yeah.
Okay.
But a lot cooler. Oh, man. It had
a lot cooler.
Ben Sudworth III says, my favorite toy was my remote control car. I loved remote control cars, but I always rode them on the carpet. And the carpet got tangled up in the wheels, and then I could never get it off. And,
we grew up in houses with carpets instead of hardwood for some reason.
And I didn't want to bring it out. I wasn't allowed to bring it outside. The Pittsburgh Nerd Podcast says, The Green Machine by Huffy, and he gave me the commercial for this. This looks like a big wheel. Remember the big wheels?
Yes.
But an extended front end and no handlebars. There's no handlebars. You have like these two little...
Oh, my kids have this.
These two little knobs. Oh, yeah, that's pretty cool.
I've bought these for my kids.
And you drift with it.
That's a cool... Yeah, you just pull up one side.
Yeah,
I got it for my kids. They never, ever used it.
Yeah, it looks really dangerous. And he says, he goes, I grew up in the 70s and 80s when nothing was safe. The Green Machine was one of my favorite toys. Best Darn Diddley says the TMNT Technodrome.
Oh, I didn't have that. That would have been cool.
The Who's Right podcast says favorite childhood toy was the slot car track that he had. Remember those slot car tracks and you just hit the button and watch a car go around?
Just try to get it to the perfect speed where they didn't shoot off to the side.
At PD Beats says Crazy Bones. Do you know what Crazy Bones is?
No.
He never explained what that was, and I asked him what that was, and he didn't answer me. But Crazy Bones. Look that up. Crazy Bones. The Buff Geek Podcast. David from the Buff Geek Podcast here. My favorite toy was either WWF wrestling figures or my neighbor's Megazord toy.
Power Rangers, yeah. So that jet, which we've mentioned out multiple times, is the Phantom.
Okay.
1988.
Quadcast Courtney says his Game Boy was his favorite. I like the Game Boy too. Sudden Double Deep Podcasts. Hey. I had Castle Grayskull as a kid with loads of He-Man figures. Loved it to pieces. Masters of the Universe was the first film I saw at the cinema when I was 4. And that is all of the questions that I have for that. So thanks to all the pods and all the co-hosts that answered the questions for that. Really appreciate that. Got anything else, guys? Got any toys that you think they should buy now? Or any good toys that you've bought recently? I bought a Voltron recently that I really, really enjoy.
My
kids' toys stink.
And I had that chat. I was off today, so I picked my daughters up from school, and we walked back from school. We live really close to the school. And they said, Dad, what are you doing a podcast about tonight? And I said, oh, we're doing toys that we grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, oh, like a Nintendo? And I'm like, no. I didn't have Nintendo till I was like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
I was like, when I was your age, we had action figures.
Right.
And they were like...
What's that?
Like the way a dog looks at you confused, like cocked their head and looked at me. Like they don't have anything like... When they showed interest in Littlest Pet Shop, I was like, let's get them all. Let's get them all. We got them all for Christmas. I'm like, now they have a toy to play with. They never play with it. Never. Yeah. What else did they get into for a little bit? I can't even think of anything. Like there's nothing they really got into.
My son just likes those mystery box things and then never plays with them. And they're like $6 a pop, dude. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no, man, we're not doing this anymore. We're not doing it anymore. I went on a purge right before Christmas because I had to make some room.
Right.
And I'm like, if he doesn't notice it's gone, then it deserves to get thrown out. You know, if you can tell me what I threw away, then I'll take it out of the garbage. But if you can't tell me what I've thrown away, then that means you don't miss it.
Do you know what it was too? Like I remember setting up giant battles with like all of my G.I. Joes,
right,
and all of my He-Men,
yeah,
and all of the Ninja Turtles. Like everybody's in. I don't know why. It's Battle World. Everybody's fighting.
And I bet you knew every single one.
I knew the backstories on their cards.
If a piece was missing to them, I knew that, hey, this guy's missing a tube.
But like my kids have toys. Yeah. They never play with them. I don't understand what's different. I just don't. Like, they would way prefer to be in front of an iPad. Like, way prefer.
Yeah. Watching nonsense.
And I think, even now, I would rather play with something tactile than play a video game. Like, that's why I like board games so much. I'd rather something tactile in front of me. Like, I like playing video games, don't get me wrong. But I much prefer to play like a board game with pieces and...
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you have it, everybody. Join the conversation on Facebook.com/dinnerandapodcast. Check out our Instagram and our Twitter feeds at Dinner and a Podcast. Email us any questions and comments at dinnerandpodcast@gmail.com. Big thanks to Andrew Brooks for the amazing artwork that he does and the amazing animations he creates for our YouTube channel. Check those out by searching Dinner and a Podcast on YouTube. And to see Andrew's other work, visit andrewbrooksportfolio.com. Alejandro Rosado made our amazing artwork. You can follow him on Twitter at Instagram at AleroArt. Will Shelton for our awesome theme song. You can follow him on SoundCloud at William_Shelton. And lastly, a big thanks to Tony Wolf, who is the voice you hear on all the bumpers during the show. Follow him at Tony Wolfness on Twitter and Instagram. And until next week when we talk about Rick and Morty, I'm Steve.
I'm Joe.
I'm Mike.
Suck it, Sale.